in a number of polling stations countrywide. I think they've done well. And what amazes me this time round, Trevor, is the fact that with the IEBC data dump on the portal, as much as Kenyan citizens don't have that capacity and time to really take each form and verify themselves, this has created a wave of citizen participation in the electoral process for the first time in Kenya. I think I'll say kudos to IEBC for that.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say that because, you know, Form 34Bs have already been uploaded. There are 213 of them out of 291.
Yeah, about 99%.
So if that's 73.2%. But if you want to tally now, you can literally log in there and do the job yourself.
True, but we don't have the capacity. But personally,
who has the patience to even do that?
I like the fact that we are head-to-head, tallying ourselves. Media houses are doing the same. So I think for me, this has changed the transparency and credibility of the IEBC on this part.
Yeah.
I think I'll really applaud them for this.
Okay. Mkwanja, do you see a more credible process from here henceforth? Because there are those who are saying, okay, fine, this time they may have got a few people flat-footed, but maybe in 2027, if people expect this, then the tallies will even be faster.
I reckon we can only get better from the point of view that we have had various advices and audits of the elections. 2013 is a good learning ground from the Supreme Court to the IEBC itself to 2017, the nullification, way back to the Kriegler Commission report. And I think we can only get better. We must commend the IEBC, and there are signs that they have improved. The credibility and the legitimacy of the outcome can only be, pinpointed once we have gone through the process. But so far, in terms of the polling process, in terms of the counting, in terms of the tallying, we can see a good improvement. We have no issues in regard to the paper trail. We have no issues in regard to data management and transmission of results. We can basically say that there have been this been a notable increase in terms of transparency and data access, which points to the usual understanding that the challenge with IEBC is not capacity. It is the interests of other players that makes it not utilize its capacity. And when we have seen improved coordination from other electoral management institutions coordinating much better with IEBC, that points to some level of majority that we have always expected, and it can only get better. In regard to what my two analysts have said, I would take a bit of what they have said and agree and also disagree. You see, elections are important in a democracy, but they are not sufficient by themselves to make sure that the country is progressing. Progress is based on how the society works, both minority and majority, to bolster democratic institutions and performance, to promote public participation and citizen engagement. And it's quite disappointing to some level as a democratic development practitioner to see the low voter turnout. Because I am certain that it's not out of disinterest or ignorance. But we were well aware before this, we went to the ballot on Tuesday morning, that the economic situation was going to always inform voter behavior and turnout. And we can see it. But nonetheless, we have good numbers, 14 million, that can be able to decide who will govern us. Now it's trying to switch the gears. Are Kenyans anxious? I think there is a level of anxiety in terms of when can we conclude this, so that with this current economic situation, people want to come out there and freely, get their next bread. And that is why some of them were not able to move, because it needs about 5,000 shillings to move from Nairobi to about 300, 200 kilometers to vote. So it was an expense that they needed to. So people are anxious to the extent that they need to get out there and continue their normal life. But the level of anxiety, I think you cannot deny it.
Prof, I know you have something to say about vote here, but even as you do that, earlier, I'll just take you by your word. You spoke about Kenyans don't really care. And you talked about the turnout as evidence enough to show how Kenyans are really hopeless and they don't even want to know what's happening around them. I mean, I want to personally believe that Kenyans should care, because the elections is a process that it's sort of like you're giving power to somebody else to exercise it on your behalf. For me, I feel Kenyans should care. Let me take you back to just tell us a bit about who failed Kenyans, what really happened, where did the rain start beating us? Because it's all about lessons. We have to move forward. I
agree with you completely that Kenyans should care, and they will have to care, because a bad government, they say, is elected by good citizens who don't vote, who don't participate in voting. Before I address that one, I want to tell my fellow panelists here that the Kenyans are going about their business as normal. In fact, when I was coming here, I passed through different places. From Rongai, went to Rosalind. People are just working. They are not even listening to the radios. Do you know why? There is an ingredient missing in this election. The tribe is missing. This election has collapsed the tribe. Now, because there is no tribe, now we are all Kenyans waiting for the result. The tribe is what was bringing the emotions to accompany the voting and all that. So this election, we are Kenyans, all of us. And they are not worried actually who takes it, which direction it goes. There's nobody who is frightened. There's nobody who, like previous elections, we are on edge, because our person must take. Now that brings us back to as founders. Jubilee and administration as founders. Jubilee and administration overpromised and underperformed. Overpromised and underdelivered. So the populace right now is very skeptical of promises, because the promises were given. Elaborately in terms of, in fact, I think one of the candidates, Ruto, is fantastic with words. The man is an artist. When he sold Uhuru to us, because he's the one who sold Uhuru to us, he gave us the same promises which he has now given. We believed him then. The people don't believe him now, because nothing of that was achieved. Yeah. So people are able to judge, and they ignore, and they say, look, we must have a president. So they drag themselves to vote. I was asking Nondi Lende in Imero about the voting, and she says, you know, Professor, I've come to vote, but those who are not voting are more than me. Of course, now that is not exactly true. Yeah. Because if 65% has voted, then she was wrong. But that was our perception. Our perception is he is participating in electing the president, but she thinks majority have been left at home because they are not participating. Jubilee failed this country.
Okay. As Asaska, is it that the tribal arithmetic is what has now made this
better,
voters
more peaceful?
More peaceful,
yes,
like prophecy.
Yes.
Trevor, if you look at both manifestos for Azimio and for Kenya Kwanza, you see that economy tops the list. And it's a crazy time in Kenya right now if you look at the economics and inflation, high debt, high food, high cost of living, you know. You're paying a lot for unga, you know, you're paying a lot for fuel. I think, as I said earlier, we feel hopeless. We feel a bit helpless. And I pity the next incoming president, because there's a lot of work to do in a very short span of time, especially to bring down the cost of living in this country, Trevor. So as much as this election have been run on a platform of issues, not really ideologies or tribal, there's a little bit of class here and there with the hustler narrative. But overall, I feel like tribe still plays a little bit, not as much pronounced as the previous election cycles, though.
All right. And
I honestly, you know, I was tutored at some point that the professor is always right. But I will honestly disagree with the professor in regard to the ethnic arithmetics. Yeah. The mere fact that the Gema nation voted for a different candidate does not seem to convince me that there was no ethnicity in this ballot. And you can see that it's still the coalitions and the presidential ticket is still very much an arrangement and a settlement of the elites. Look at the struggle in Bungoma and how Raila Odinga went there begging and saying, please, you are my people, don't embarrass me. But the mere fact that he didn't have Wetangula, and he has lost Bungoma. Look at the way the Kalenjin nation voted. You know, look at the way the Luo nation voted. So there is the only positive about it is that there was no Gema candidate, you know, and therefore William Ruto outfoxed the boss in terms of selling, you know, the vibe against Raila Odinga, and they had to agree with him. So that's the only difference.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you look at the way things are playing out, it's still largely an ethnic
tribe or not tribe.
Yeah.
I mean, this conversation
one indicator of tribal
Yeah.
angle in voting
All right.
is turnout.
Prof, we're coming back to just pick this up and see how it has impacted the outcome of the 2022 general election. But remember, we're also linking up with our reporters from different parts of the country. Mashirima.
Nazidi tu kusikiza mdahalo huu ambao unaendelea, na nadhani swali kuu kwangu mimi ambalo ningependa wageni wetu waweze kujibu ni kuhusiana na taarifa za uongo ama fake news ukipenda, ambazo zinaenezwa mtandaoni, jambo ambalo huenda linaashiria kitu tofauti. Maanake ukitoka nje unaona kama kila kitu kimetulia, lakini ukienda mtandaoni, hapo ndio ngoma ipo. Hebu sasa tuelekee katika kaunti ya Mombasa, ambapo Francis Mtalaki amekuwa akitujuza kuhusiana na matukio na matokeo katika eneo hilo. Mtalaki, hujambo? Jana ulitueleza baadhi ya maeneo bunge ambapo tayari washindi wamepokezwa vyeti katika kituo hicho cha kujumlisha kura cha kaunti ya Mombasa. Je, kuna matokeo ama tangazo lililotolewa kuhusiana na mshindi wa useneta na mwakilishi wa kike?
Na Mashirima, kufikia sasa bado matangazo ya kuhusiana na kiti cha useneta na wakilishi wa kike hayajaweza kutangazwa, lakini tukiangalia nyuma ni kwamba kwa wale maafisa wa tume ya IEBC wapo mbioni kujumuisha baadhi ya matokeo ambayo yamekwisha fika katika kituo hiki cha kaunti cha kujumuisha kura, na tunataraji kwamba wakati wote kwa siku ya leo watakwenda kutangaza seneta wa Mombasa ni nani pamoja na mwakilishi wa kike ni nani. Lakini kwa ile takwimu ambayo imeweza kufika kutoka sasa na baadhi ya matokeo ambayo yameweza kutangazwa katika eneo hili ni kwamba inaonekana seneta wa sasa Mohamed Faki wa chama cha ODM ndiye anayeongoza, akifuatwa kwa karibu na yule mwenzake wa chama cha UDA Mohamed Hamisi Mwaguya. Na pia katika swala la mwakilishi wa kike, pia chama cha ODM kupitia mgombea ambaye ni Zamzam Mohamed anaongozwa na akifuatwa pia kwa karibu na mwenzake wa chama cha UDA. Kwa hivyo tutaendelea kufuatilia na tutaendelea kukaa hapa kuona ni vipi labda kipute hiki cha masuala ya useneta na wakilishi wa kike yataendelea na matokeo yatakapotangazwa rasmi kutoka vituo vyote au maeneo bunge yote 6 yaliyoko kwa sasa. Wameweza kutangaza tu vituo maeneo bunge mawili, na pia hapo awali pia tulikuwa katika eneo la Jomvu ambapo Badi Twalib mbunge wa pale ameweza kutangazwa mshindi wa chama cha ODM kwa kura 13,850 akitoa ushindi, lakini akifuatwa pia na yule mwenzake wa Jubilee ambaye ni Renson Thoya ambaye amejizolea kura 9,404, na pia Karisa Nzai wa chama cha UDA alikuwa tatu kwa kura 5,439. Na katika eneo bunge jirani ambayo ni bunge la Changamwe Mashirima ni kwamba mbunge pia ambaye amehudumu kwa kipindi cha miaka 10 ambaye ni Omar Mwinyi atafuta hatamu yake ya 3 sasa kwa chama cha ODM, ameibuka mshindi dhidi ya wagombea wengine 12 ambao walikuwa wanawania kiti hicho, na ameshinda kwa kura 25,077 akifuatwa na Abdi Daib wa Jubilee ambaye amejizolea kura 5,789, na yule wa chama cha Wiper ambaye ni Munyoki Nyalo amepata kura 4,040. Hayo ni baadhi tu ya matokeo ambayo kwa sasa kutoka maeneo bunge mawili ambayo tumeweza kudhibitisha. Washindi wamekwisha kabidhiwa vyeti vyao na kwa sasa wataendelea kuhudumu wakiweza kuwakilisha chama cha ODM katika maeneo hayo bunge mawili. Na pia hapo jana Mohamed Ali wa chama cha UDA aliweza kushinda katika eneo bunge la Nyali, na pia eneo la Kisauni kuna Omar Benzimba ambaye aliweza kutoa ushindi kwa kura 35,747 na kuweza kutawazwa mshindi hapo jana. Pia katika eneo hili ambalo tulipo la Mvita, japo kulikuwa na utata, maafisa wa tume ya IEBC walimtangaza pia Mohamed Machele ambaye ni wa chama cha ODM kuweza kuwa mbunge wa eneo hili la Mvita kwa kipindi cha miaka 5 ijayo hapo jana. Na kwa hivyo basi eneo mmoja ambalo tunasubiri pia ni eneo la Likoni, alafu wakiweza kuleta yale matokeo na pia tajumuishwa pale, alafu maafisa wale wa tume ya IEBC wanaoendelea na shughuli nzima ya kuhakikisha kwamba wameweza kujumuisha matokeo ya useneta pamoja na wakilishi wa kike, watakwenda kutoa taarifa kamili na kuweza kuwatawaza ni nani mshindi. Itakuwa ni chama cha UDA ama ni chama cha ODM. Mashirima, tutasubiri kuona ni nani atatoa ushindi, lakini kwa sasa kuna ushindani mkali kati ya vyama hivi viwili, hususan kwa kiti cha useneta pamoja na kile cha wakilishi wa kike.
Na shukrani Mtalaki hapo kutoka kaunti ya Mombasa, ambapo yuko katika kituo cha kujumlisha kura cha kaunti ya Mombasa, kituo ambacho kipo katika eneo bunge la Mvita. Na hapa studioni tunazidi tu na mdahalo wetu kuhusiana na jinsi matokeo yanavyozidi kuendelea na tabia ya Wakenya hivi sasa, wakati ambapo matokeo hayo yanazidi kusubiriwa kwa hamu, haswa matokeo ya urais. Na Trevor na Safin, awali nimeuliza hilo swali kuhusiana na uvumi unaoendelea katika mitandao ya kijamii, na inaashiria nini kuhusiana pia na ule uhuru ambao IEBC ilitoa ya kujumlisha kura. Maana tumekuwa tukiona wengine wanasema hivi, wengine wanasema hivi, lakini IEBC ndio tunangoja kwamba wao ndio watakuwa msema kweli. Trevor.
Indeed, Mashirima, that's a very important question, by the way, even as we pick up on this second part of our conversation with our panel discussion, Professor Joseph Gitila Naituli, Franklin Mukwanja and Asaska Labarakwe. Before we continue, maybe they should just respond to Mashirima's question with regards to fake news. Uvumi, ya kimitandao. You see, social media is playing a role in this election, and Kenyans sort of feel like they are free to say anything and do anything, especially with the space that has been opened by IEBC. Anyone can access, the whatever information that they have. Do you feel like that leeway has been abused a little bit? Professor, let me begin with you.
I think it has, but I want very quickly to respond to Asaska on the campaign main theme of economy. I think this is where Asimio could have dropped the ball. This election has never been about the economy. It has been about integrity. Because it is integrity that brings corruption, and it's corruption which has brought us down. But they never really brought that point to the voter properly. Because if you look at the Jubilee government, the biggest theft took place in the first 5 years of Jubilee. 649 billion looted publicly. I mean, they were not even warned or hiding anything. So the Azimio could have used that effectively. I doubt that they didn't, because they would have turned the tide heavily.
We don't know what the results will look like, so let's talk about the issues around
in the paper. So now, problem we have is the insiders and those people who I would say, quote and quote, they are not good citizens. They are residents in Twitter. They are residents in Facebook. They are residents in the social media generally. And this is where the government agencies is supposed to come in and protect us. This is where also the administrators of those platforms are also supposed to come and protect us. Because we have freedom of information. So you can't stop people actually saying what they want, as long as they have not crossed the line of vilification, of incitement to violence, of propaganda for war. If they are not cross that line, they can very carefully incite without you knowing exactly what they are doing. That is why the administrators and those people need to come in and assist us.
Yeah, but as Asker, there's a very thin line between the freedom of speech here and infringing on people's rights and crossing over, because even before the elections, there were many rumors that the Facebook will be shut down, the internet will be shut down, but they came out, the CS came out and said nobody's going to touch it at all. But there's also that risk of flying around fake news.
Yes.
True. I agree with you, Trevor, that yes, we have a right to freedom of speech and opinion. And people forget that what we see, the misinformation and the disinformation on social media, it's mainly coming from the two groups, the two camps, yeah? Supporters of Kenya Kwanza and supporters of the Azimio coalition. And as much as they are sending out misleading information, I mean, we have almost 12 million Kenyans using the social media of late. So for me, as much as we have the right of opinion and of speech, I think we need to be careful a bit, because at the end of the day, it's only Mr. Chebukati who is the returning officer for the presidential results, and is the only one who can declare, who has the mandate constitutionally to declare. So it's time for us to be keen and sift through the information you read as Kenyans, and don't panic. We need a lot of patience to go through this in the next couple hours or so, a couple days. So for me, we truly have to be very, very careful.
Yeah. We have to take a quick break now. When we come back, Franklin, and come to you. And there's something that was mentioned by the East African Community Election Observation Mission, headed by Jakaya Kikwete, that is the former Tanzanian president. He talked about the independent candidate agents having increased, which to him, it related to the fact that the primaries may have failed. And there was an upsurge of independent candidates.
Yeah. We're also reading into an interesting trend of independent candidates being elected for key positions in the country. And we will be talking about what message this then sends to us as a country. But now we want to take a very short break. We are back with more. Don't go too far.
Haleluya. Naitwa William Yilima, mwimbaji wa nyimbo za Injili kutoka nchini Tanzania. Kupata wimbo huu wa Yupo Mungu, kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *381 hash. Sikiza na Citizen, ni nyumbani kwa wasanii wote.
Aren't you excited for the Champions League, Europa, FA Cup?
Gee, every moment from the Premier League, every.
Don't forget local, the Ethiopian and Zambian leagues, and the FIFA World Cup.
You know what they should call it though?
I've got it. Football's greatest season.
Get DSTV so you can drink from every cup that matters in football's greatest season. Only on SuperSport.
No one's perfect, but guess what? Thanks to me, you can now check account balances, apply for instant loans, make payments directly to paybill and till numbers, buy airtime, send money to mobile and bank accounts, and pay your bills. Download the upgraded M-Corp Cash today and try it out.
Sasa pata smartphone mpya Tecno Spark 7 kupitia lipa mdogo mdogo. Piga *544*5 hash kuona kama unafaulu kujiunga na mpango wa lipa mdogo mdogo kutoka Safaricom. Follow the the 2022 general election live on Viusasa. Get instant results on the go and on any device. Whether it's the president, governor, senator, or any other race, be the first to know. Simply go to Viusasa and tap Elections 2022 tab. Live results straight to your phone with Viusasa.
Dial star 126 hash or download my Safaricom app and let's lift one another.
Simply following the care label of the items and the dosage instructions on the detergent packaging will give you the hygienic results you need.
Doffy's strong enzymatic particles remove stains easily. Microcapsule fragrance goes into fibers and give you lasting freshness for the whole day.
Colorful day, wonderful scent.
Ruto got 51,402, Maura 60, Wajakoya 125. Now we run over to Harambee House, but okay, we'll head there in a few. But I can see at least the PS for Foreign Affairs is there. That is Ambassador Macharia Kamau, who is the PS for Foreign Affairs. And several other people there, senior government officials, of course, and we'll see who emerges from that door any minute from now. But we are live from Harambee House. Looking at these results, Jane, as announced by the IEBC, the total number of registered voters vis-a-vis the number of people who came out to vote tells you it's a quite number of people who avoided this exercise completely.
Again, and just looking at how historic these elections will be. Number one, looking at the voter turnout. Number two, looking at the thorough process that IEBC has undertaken. When they were telling us they're preparing for these general elections, we can clearly see that's what they meant. And number three, I've actually just seen a tweet of somebody saying that this year the elections were designed to be slow deliberately to ensure that transparency is at the center of this conversation. And much as the numbers were not as was expected by both the IEBC and even us, the general population and the media fraternity, we still await to see the final numbers as it will be verified and announced by the chair, that is Wafula Chebukati. Victor.
Just to add on top of that list that you've given out, Curia, there's an information here that Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has successfully defended her seat, brushing off a scare from, excuse me, woman representative Purity Ngirishi. Provisional results at the conclusion of tallying in Mwea constituency show that Waiguru has garnered 113,088 votes against Purity Ngirishi 109,433, bringing to a close.
All right, let's head over to Harambee House. This is the head of public service, Joseph Kinyua. Let's hear what he has to say. Probably this could be the assumption to office committee.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, fellow Kenyans, good afternoon. In fidelity with the dictates of our constitution, I have this morning chaired the inaugural meeting of the Assumption of the Office of the President Committee. The committee is established pursuant to the Assumption of the Office of the President Act, that is Act number 21 of year 2012, and in furtherance of Article 141 of our Constitution. The committee's core mandate is to facilitate a smooth transition from the current administration to the incoming administration. Substantively, the mandate of the committee will be triggered once the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission formally announces the results of the 9th August 2022 presidential election and declares a president-elect. In accordance with the primary act of Parliament, the functions of the assumption of the office of the President Committee are to 1. Facilitate handing over the process of the outgoing president to the president-elect. 2. Organize for the security of the president-elect. 3. Organize for the necessary facilities and personnel for the president-elect. 4. Coordinate the briefings of the president-elect by relevant public officers. 5. Facilitate communication between the outgoing president and the president-elect. And last but not least, prepare the program and organize for the swearing-in ceremony. Finally, I wish to inform you we will be making periodic briefings to the nation as the transition process kicks off. I thank you.
All right, that's the assumption of office of President Committee chaired by the Head of Public Service, Joseph Akinwa, and of course flanked there by senior government officials, including the Chief of Defence Forces, Robert Kariuki Kibochi, and you will also see the likes of PS Interior, Karanja Kibicho, the PS for Foreign Affairs, the PS for the Ministry of Treasury. You also have the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutiambai, amongst other government officials really that form the committee that takes over the mandate of ensuring that the new president or the president-elect settles in, and part of it being organizing for security once you have a president-elect. Of course, this will be triggered by the announcement by IEBC of a president-elect, and so we were, right? That is the assumption of office of President Committee. Of course, also facilitate that the president-elect gets facilities and personnel once he has assumed office, and that's not the only mandate for the Assumption of Office Committee.
And I think it's the right time for even Kenyans to understand what to expect once we get to this time that we're all looking forward to, that Chebukati will announce the president right there. And what you also need to understand as a viewer, once the Chebukati announces the president-elect, there will be a 14-day period that is constitutionally allowed for any petitions to be filed at the Supreme Court to challenge the president-elect, to challenge the results of the IEBC. And once that 14-day period lapses, the IEBC chair communicates the same information of who the president-elect is to the incumbent and the Chief Justice in written form. Now, once the chair has communicated this information in a written form to the Chief Justice and the incumbent president, the president will then be sworn in 2 Tuesdays after the official communication by the chair of the IEBC, and from then they assume office as the president, and they will no longer be referred to as president-elect, but as the president. That is generally how things are supposed to flow. But should there be a petition that is filed at the Supreme Court within this 14-day period, the Supreme Court will take their time to go through all the petitions, and once they reach a decision that consequently terms the president-elect win as valid, the president will be sworn in the following Tuesday from the delivery of that particular verdict, supporting or rather terming his election as valid. So that is what you need to know in regards to assumption of office of the president, from being sworn in to them stepping into acting, or rather stepping into the space of the president once sworn in.
Yeah, quite an interesting one. And Victor, you will remember there has been some level of haggling in the National Assembly as regards this committee, with the argument that it is supposed to be chaired by the Secretary to the Cabinet. And you remember the Garissa Township Member of Parliament, Aden Duale, has tried to introduce a motion in Parliament seeking to compel the Executive to appoint the Secretary to the Cabinet so he can chair the Assumption of Office Committee. This is the first briefing that we are getting from that committee. Exactly. I don't know whether it is late in the day or they have done it in good time, but clearly the committee is now being chaired by the head of public service, who probably would assume then also acts as the secretary to the cabinet. Victor.
Yeah, just giving their mandate there. Actually, he's given a number of responsibility, and again, coupled with what you said, is just to plan for the program for that particular event and facilitate communication between the outgoing and the incoming head of state. But as you correctly put it, he said that that will only commence once and it will be triggered by the final outcome of the general election. And they said probably this is the first one, as you correctly put it, and we are likely to see, or whether they'll have another press briefing, or could be the last one, now that he's already outlined their mandate, how it's going to be.
But it's encouraging that they are actually showing the people that, once this is done, this is what is going to happen. Expect this. Yeah. These are our role when it comes to in the transition process. This is what we need to ensure that President-elect has been facilitated with. Because most of these protocols, many Kenyans don't know. And you can remember even from previous elections, they walk in as a candidate, but when they walk out, they are the president. And from there, protocols come alive, So what happens from that particular point? And this is definitely encouraging for our viewers and all Kenyans at large, just even showing the people that we expect a peaceful transition of power from the incumbent to the president-elect once announced by the IEBC. And I don't think it's too early for them to be having such briefings with the press,
Now, there's nothing wrong with the press briefings. Actually, at this point, when we are talking about the transition from one president to another, and clearly the assumption of office committee of the president is quite in charge, Victor. There's another conversation that ought to happen, because there will be succession in counties, either from a governor who was seeking a second term and was failed, or a governor who has served 2 terms and is assuming office. And it would be interesting probably in the coming days. We will talk to the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, because on the handover of assets and liabilities to the incoming administration, it doesn't appear really like there's a good inventory that is ever taken. So you end up having a situation where even property that is supposed to be in the hands of government ends up in people's pockets, or ends up being in private hands. And we have seen that happen a lot in counties. So in the coming days, probably we need to also engage the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee to tell us the process of handing over of government from one governor to the
next administration. And you can imagine now the international community is so focused on Kenya. I mean, our brothers and sisters across the border in Uganda following this conversation live in Tanzania as well, just seeing how Kenya, and even just yesterday we were having this conversation, how Kenya has set the bar high. And the question will be, can we maintain this standard of having general elections moving forward? And 2027 will be the ultimate test.
I don't think there's any room for going any down further.
We cannot.
The commission that comes after Chebukati, because obviously Chebukati will exit after the end of this election probably, because he has served 2 election cycles. It means the chairperson who comes next doesn't have a choice other than to raise the bar so high. Maybe 2027, Victor, you can still vote at the convenience of Murang'a town.
Or even your phone.
Oh yes. something that we've been discussing here, and even the analysts have been talking about throughout the week, the introduction of technology in conducting an election, something that should be considered probably in the future. We've come a long way up to this particular day now that we are still using the physical papers from one corner of the country coming all the way to the Bomas of Kenya for verification. Something can be done with an example given one of the biggest telecommunication companies here in Kenya, that their level of security that you can't hack, their servers, their websites, it's something that can also be copied. But the level of trust also came into the picture that as a nation we are still lagging behind. That is why the issue of technology in conducting an election in this country is something that can, should also be looked into. I don't know whether we'll be ready for that in 2022 or we will slightly upgrade the KIMS kit to a different level, but not online.
But we need to understand the weight that comes with managing a general elections.
Yes.
The general elections, rather, because we can see IEBC made the results public. You go ahead, tally your own numbers, and tell us if you're able to keep up.
Yeah.
You see? So getting to a time where all this can be done over a gadget, I think will be phenomenal and revolutionary for our country. But of course, looking at these teething problems that we are still having with technology, it should be time to learn some lessons.
And probably then, if the grace of tallying votes will still exist, if that window will still exist for the media, we probably have an opportunity to do things better than we have this time. And I think we have received quite a number of beatings this time. Well, lessons have been learned.
Lessons have been learned and carried on.
The hard way.
Victor clearly doesn't want to go hard today. But, I mean,
it's definitely not an easy process.
The admission that the media generally was ill prepared for this is something we must admit, and boldly so. And we have obviously lessons to learn. The next time we shall have a consortium probably.
Yes.
And do this better.
But we definitely don't step down from our mandate to ensure that we are bringing you verified information, much as we were having our own tallying as individual broadcasting house. We're still at the forefront, and especially as KBC Channel 1 with reporters all over the country, bringing you real-time updates as and when they are verified by the Commission, and we confidently share with you this information right here on KBC Channel 1 as Kenya continues to decide.
And obviously, I think when you think about the faltering of the media, it's only that we were doing different tallings and so displaying different results, because each one of us would download forms, according to probably where you see it,
the time you download.
Yeah, and the time you downloaded. So that obviously led to the display of different results that you saw from different media houses. A consortium would have healed that problem probably by ensuring that all of us have it.
All right, but remember, as a viewer, when it comes to the transmission of these results, there is a path that they follow from the polling station. Once all the Form 34As are filled at the polling station, they are then transmitted to the constituency tallying center. That is where they are further categorized, and of course the MCA and the Member of National Assembly results are tallied and announced at that particular level through Form 36C for the MCAs and 35C for the members of National Assembly. And from that point, the results for the governor, senator, and women rep are then transmitted to the county tallying center by the deputy returning officer, and that is the point at which they are made public through, for the governors, it will be Form 37D, for the senators, Form 38D, and for the county women representative, it will be 39D. Now, from the constituency tallying center, the presidential, or rather, Form 34C that bears the result, carries the results of the presidential elections, they are transmitted to the National Tallying Center by the returning officer. And finally, the chair of the commission, that is Chebukati, will be announcing the final presidential results using Form 34D. So that is the path that the results get to follow. So as you can see, every level needs to be tallied and verified before they are made public. Again, the question of time comes into play. Looking at the number of polling stations that we had from that particular point up until they get to the National Tallying Center, it is a process that needs to be thorough, authentic, and verified. So we keep you up to date as we keep getting this information. Victor.
All right, so this is the place to be. We are just about to finish here, paving way for the next team that is going to steer you for the next hours. We're giving you 24-hour coverage of this historic election. Already a number of polling stations arriving at the Bomas of Kenya, with Wafula Chebukati and his team giving you updated figures, so that you can also follow that. Meanwhile, you can also go to the IEBC website or portal and follow that, everything that is happening there. You can also take a look at that, so that we dispense of all the fears and rumors milling around. My keyword is do not depend on what's happening on social media. We've had the discussion with Bernard, and clearly social media can play a very key role. Impression is a panda, and it should be the same and the case at this particular point. Just take your time, believe on the IBC, because the chair and the team are doing everything possible so that this is done within the timelines required by the Constitution. And
all right,
let's curious.
It's a slow but sure process. Looking at what the IEBC is saying, slow but sure process, and obviously it behooves all of us in one way or another to give IEBC ample time to do what they are doing, but probably also hope that our election will come out as credible. I think one of the African nations that have conducted a very credible election in the African continent is only Ghana. I think the election has been labeled as credible, therefore it will be interesting to see again if Kenya can enter into the books of one of the African countries conducting a credible election. I have seen some results here from Elgeyo Marakwet sent by one of our reporters, Peter Kipkoech. We have Governor Wesley Kipyego Rotich of UDA, who has garnered 147,705. The senator is Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen of UDA, who has gotten 141,091. The woman representative will be Caroline Ngeleche, an independent candidate, who has gotten 104,928. The members of Parliament, KO North Constituency, Adams Kipsanai of UDA, who got 26,560. KO South Constituency, Gideon Kimayo of UDA, 35,881. Marakwet West Constituency, Wakili Timothy Toroitich, an independent candidate, who got 27,803. And Marakwet East, David Kangogo Bowen has recaptured that seat on a UDA ticket, 16,185. That's as far as the results of West, that is Elgeyo Marakwet, look like. All right, you have live pictures from the Bomas of Kenya as the verification exercise continues. That is at the Bomas of Kenya, as the verification exercise continues at that center. It appears like there's a small break. They indeed actualized the break given to them by Wafula Chebukati. Let's see when they come back what it will be looking like.
Right. And just to mention that, remember Alex Tolgos was running against Kipchumba Murkomen, and he's come second to Kipchumba. Of course, Kipchumba Murkomen retaining his seat as the senator of Elgeyo Marakwet. Tolgos is the outgoing governor of Elgeyo Marakwet's county. So it was a tight race. Now Kipchumba Murkomen is back to the Senate. He was a debater par excellence. He's a debater, so it has to be given over to him.
And you would say his contribution again in the Senate has been quite significant in a way, because he's been the legislator or the senator for the Elgeyo Marakwet County, majority leader at some point. He was deputy majority leader 2013 to 2017. 2017 for about 2 years or 3, he was the majority leader until the fallout between the deputy president and the president when he was ousted as the majority leader in the Senate. But his contribution in the floor of the Senate has been quite significant, and his contribution to legislation also significant. He has been re-elected for the third term in Elgeyo Marakwet as the county senator. You have live pictures from Bomas of Kenya. This is the nerve center of everything there is to talk about the presidential election, Jane.
Now, from the screens, it may appear to be very calm. They are indeed taking that break, but we are sure to know that they will be coming up, having a brief, going back to the tables, continuing with the verification, then keeping us updated with each figure as updated, to just make sure that they're also exacerbating the process to take as little time as possible. But remember, they have until 7 days as constitutionally provided for the announcement of this particular results. But we hope they will do so in the most practical and realistic time possible.
Absolutely. The results will keep streaming in, and we shall keep returning to the Bomas of Kenya every single time the commission wants to announce verified results. Probably we'll expect the process to pick up quicker now that there are directions from the IEBC chairperson, Ofuna Chebukati. But that's just it. We need to roll it up here and wind up, Jane.
Absolutely. It's been a beautiful time keeping you up to date with what we have as the national broadcaster. Of course, also informing you what's happening at the Bomas of Kenya from 6 a.m. up until now, just 15 minutes past 1 p.m. But the coverage does not end here with us on KBC. We do have our subsequent teams that will be relieving us and allowing you to stay updated with all this information, not just from the Bomas of Kenya, but across the country with our different reporters where they are stationed. For now, we want to take a very quick breather before we get to come back and get to wrap up the show with you. But let's catch a quick breather. We'll be right back.
Absolutely, and want to acknowledge a bit about the number of people watching us from Chepterit in Nandi County. Thank you for your time. We're taking a breather. Coming back in a minute.
Don't stop working as we go through this. I would like to read the first constituency verified result for the presidential election, and this from Webuye East constituency, Bungoma County. This is the result for Webuye East constituency, Bungoma County. Total number of registered voters, 48,950. Total valid votes cast, 30,491. Rejected ballots, 384. Raila Odinga, 13,720. William Samoei, 16,412. Waihika David Maure, 110. Wachakoya George Lushiri, 249. Those are the results for Webuye East constituency. Thank you. We shall be back with more verified results.
And the seventh is Joseph Karicho Wanjiro, who has garnered 3,734 votes.
Political journey is never smooth. There are ups and downs. I also, let me mention my worthy competitors who have also worked, towards getting this position. They have not made it easy for me. There are some who had a lot of resources, maybe.
Well, with that story, it brings us to the close of the morning session here on KBC Channel 1, keeping up with Kenya Decides. It has been an absolute pleasure having you with us through and through, but we are not done with this live broadcasting. We have the Swahili team coming in as soon as we step out of studio. But for now, thank you so much for your valued time. My name is Jane Wamboi Kibera. Victoria.
That's just it. We need to put a cap to Kenya Decides, the morning session that ends in the afternoon. And of course, we live in the able hands of Harriet Salim and Kamcha Menza. My name is John Jacob Curie. Have yourself a fantastic afternoon. See you around, Victor.
All right, so it's been real. Let's do this again tomorrow. My name is Victor Lowe. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
And can we have some order? Where is security? Where is security? Can we have security maintaining order here? I'm calling upon the security officers to come and maintain order here. Yes, yes. I am asking the chief agents to come for a meeting. I'm asking chief agents to come up for a meeting. And I'm asking the security to come and maintain order on the floor of the Tally Center. Kanchari, can you come up, please? Paul Mwangi, can you come up, please? Paul and Kanchari, can you come up? I don't see Governor Nakara. Where is he? Kanchari and Mwangi, please come up. Kanchari and Mwangi. I am asking anyone who is not of the hall. Anybody who has not done work at the tally desks to vacate the floor of the hall. Anybody, can you vacate the floor of the hall? Anybody who is not doing work at the tally, if you are not an agent doing work at the tally desk, can you vacate the floor of the hall? Mheshimiwa Fred Gumo and the team, please, we want this floor cleared. We have provided desks for people to sit. We have provided seats for people to sit. Please clear the floor of the tally center. Clear the floor of the tally center. If you are not an agent and if you have nothing to do at the tally desk, can you leave the floor of the tally center? Anybody standing, can you leave the floor of the tally center? We are saying if you are not doing work at the desk, can you leave the floor of the tally center? The people on the floor of the tally center who are not doing any work, can you leave the floor of the tally center? Security. Security. Gabo, are you on the floor? Gabo, are you on the floor? Can you deploy armed security here? Anyone who is not on a desk, who is not working, must not access the floor, the tally floor. That is our instruction to the security. Only the chief agents are allowed to be standing on the floor. Anyone else should not access the tally floor. We do not want politicians who have been announced wherever they were contesting to come and cause chaos in the National Tally Center. It must be.
Ndio kama hivyo unavyoona picha kutoka Bomas hapo ambapo ni makao makuu ya kuhesabiwa kwa kura za kitaifa za urais, na bila shaka kumekuwa na shughuli pevu pale, ingawaje tume ya ABC imesema watu wamesongamana sana katika eneo hilo. Kwa hiyo moja kati ya vitu ambavyo wangetaka vifanyike mara moja ni kupunguzwa kwa watu katika eneo hili ili angalau watoe fursa kwa tume hiyo kufanya shughuli zake. Nakumbuka hapo awali walipokuwa wanatoa taarifa walisema kwamba watu wamekuwa wakiwasumbua wale maafisa wa uchaguzi katika maeneo tofauti, na wakasema kwamba iwapo kuna mtu ana malalamiko yote, basi malalamiko yanafaa kuwasilishwa moja kwa moja kwake kama mwenyekiti wa tume hiyo, na sio kusumbuliwa kwa maafisa wa vituo mbalimbali ambao wamekuwa wakiendelea na shughuli zao, wengine wakileta karatasi zile za uchaguzi kupitia visanduku ambavyo vilitumika katika maeneo tofauti ya kupigia kura. Kwa hiyo wanapendekeza kwamba watu wapunguzwe, na vile vile wanatizama hali ilivyo kuhakikisha kwamba idadi ya watu wanaopaswa kuwa pale ndio iko pale. Iwapo kuna yote ambaye amezidi na hatakikani kuwa pale, basi anatimuliwa mara moja ili kuhakikisha kwamba kunaendeshwa shughuli kama inavyotakikana, kwa sababu kwa mujibu wa IBC watu wameongezeka kiasi cha kwamba imekuwa vigumu kwa IBC kufanya shughuli zake na vile vile kuwatatiza maafisa husika katika shughuli zao. Picha unazoziona hivi sasa ni moja kwa moja, unaona maafisa wa usalama wako pale kuhakikisha kwamba pia wao wanathibitisha ile idadi ya watu pamoja na wale wanaofaa kuwa pale katika shughuli nzima. Kumbuka cha msingi kinachotakikana katika eneo lile ni kwanza wale mawakala wa rais wa wagombea wa rais ndio wanatakana kuwa pale ili kusaidia katika kuthibitisha, na vile vile mbali na hayo kama wengine wapo na hawahusiki na hayo, basi wanafaa kuwa mbali na eneo lile. Ni shughuli ambayo sasa hivi naona kwamba imesitisha kidogo shughuli ya IEBC katika ukumbi ule wa Bomas mpaka kutatuliwe lile tatizo ambalo limeonekana kuwashughulisha maafisa wa tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka IEBC katika eneo lile. Nakumbuka kwamba Wafula Chebukati ambaye ni mwenyekiti wa tume hiyo alitangulia kusema kwamba shughuli hii ipo shwari, na iwapo kuna mtu ana malalamiko yote, basi anafaa kuandika rasmi kuhusiana na kile anachokilalamikia na awasilishe malalamishi hayo kwa tume ya uchaguzi na vile vile maafisa husika, na sio kusumbuana na maafisa wadogo na wengineo wale wa tume ya IEBC. Ni picha za moja kwa moja kutoka Bomas ambacho ni kituo cha kitaifa cha ujumlishaji kura za urais hapa jijini Nairobi. Kumbuka, kwa mujibu wa sheria wana siku 7 kuhakikisha shughuli hii inakamilika, na ndani ya hizi siku 7 ndio matangazo yatatolewa iwapo kutapatikana mshindi, na iwapo itakuwa vinginevyo, basi kama kuna uwezekano wa kwenda katika raundi ya pili kwa mujibu wa kura zitakavyohesabiwa, basi pia kutakuwa na maelezo na maelekezo ya jinsi gani mambo hayo yatakavyofanyika. Lakini kwa sasa amewataka watu wawe na subra huku wakipokea matokeo na kuhesabu na kuyathibitisha moja baada ya matokeo mengine, kuhakikisha kwamba yote yako sawa kupitia zile Kim's kit na karatasi ambazo zilikuwepo katika ama form 34A zilizokuwepo katika vituo vya kupigia kura katika maeneo tofauti nchini. Kamche, unaona maafisa wa usalama pale wakizunguka na kukagua pamoja na maafisa wa IEBC kuhakikisha kwamba wale ambao wahusiki wasalie kule watizame tu na waachie wahusika wakuu waendelee na shughuli zao.
Kweli Harith, manake kama unavyoona pale ni kama IEBC inajitayarisha kutoa taarifa tu kuhusu zoezi zima linaloendelea pale, ni wapi wamefika. Manake kinachoendelea pale ndani ya ule ukumbi kwa sasa ni kule kuainisha na kuhakikisha kwamba zile fomu zilizofikishwa pale, zile za picha na zile zilizofikishwa pale na wale wasimamizi wa uchaguzi katika kaunti mbalimbali zinaoana ama zinawiana. Kwa hivyo ni zoezi ambalo linahitaji umakinifu na inahitaji utulivu, na imewalazimu kwamba waweze kuleta maafisa wa usalama wakaweze kupunguza ile idadi iliyo pale. Ndio maana jana, kama unakumbuka Harith, kana kuuliza huu kumbi mimi nauona umejaa, sijui kama ni nani anayepaswa kuwa pale, na iwapo walio pale ndani kwa sasa wanajua kazi wanayostahili kuifanya, ama iwapo wanajua utulivu unaohitajika pale ndani kwa sasa. Manake fujo zozote basi hazihitajiki wala hazistahili pale ndani. Panahitaji utulivu na mwelekeo. Kama itakuwa ile hesabu na ifanywe kwa njia ya utulivu, kwa njia ya kueleweka, basi panahitaji upungufu wa watu, pasiwe pamejaa kiasi cha kwamba palete hofu ama palete wasiwasi wa jinsi shughuli yoyote inayofanyika. Kwa hivyo wanaona pale kamishna wapo tayari kutueleza ama kuzungumza mambo yanavyoendelea. Kumbuka awali walikuja kuzungumzia maeneo bunge 10, wakisema maeneo bunge 10 tayari yameweza kuainishwa zile hesabu za kiti cha urais. Matokeo kutoka maeneo bunge 10 yameweza kuainishwa pale, na kwamba wanaendelea kupokea fomu kutoka maeneo bunge mbalimbali, na pindi watakapokuwa wameweza kuainisha yote, basi ndipo wataweza kuzungumza na Wakenya. Kumbuka siku zinazidi kuyoyoma, nayo IEBC inahitaji wakati mwafaka, ama inahitaji wakati wa kutosha, utulivu, pasiwe na vurugu yoyote, ama pasiwe na mchanganyiko wowote ambao utawafanya kwamba wahisi watu walioko pale ndani pengine waondolewe. Hawafai kuondolewa, manake kama inavyohitajika kuna waangalizi, kuna wale mawakala wakuu wa vyama mbalimbali, kunao wanahabari wa pale ambao wanapeperusha taarifa hizo kwa njia moja kwa moja kwa kila Mkenya aliyeko nyumbani anahitaji kujua naendelea pale. Kwa hivyo utulivu ndio utakaohitajika kwa hali ya juu, na mwelekeo unaoeleweka na kila mmoja, pasiwe na yoyote aliyena tashwishi kwamba mbona huyu yafanya hivi ama mbona huyu yafanya hivi. Manake atakapotokea vile, basi IEBC itajikuta katika hali ya kutatizika. Kwa hivyo ni lazima wawalete wale maafisa wa usalama walioko pale, wanaoshika doria katika eneo lile, kuhakikisha kwamba yeyote anayeleta vurugu basi hatapewa nafasi ya kusumbua maeneo yale. Kwa hivyo watakapopata utulivu, tutakuwa tunasikiliza ni yepi wanayosema. Kwa sasa ni ruhusu ni kuelekeze moja kwa moja hadi Bomas, tusikize makamishna wanasema nini.
Anybody having a bag, security must search those bags. Anybody accessing the tally center with a bag must be thoroughly searched.
Kuna shughuli ya kupanga mambo yawe shwari katika ukumbi ule wa Bomas. Kumbuka, Kamche umesema kwamba sehemu ile imejaa, ukumbi umejaa, kuna sehemu
And welcome back to Jeff Kanenge live here at Citizen Television. What a great show we're having, folks. Lee Njiru had a front row seat to history unfolding for more than 4 decades. That's right, he was spokesman for, he worked under President Jomo Kenyatta for 1.5 years, and then for more than 40 years for President Daniel Arap Moi. This man knows his history, and he knows dates like they're on the tip of his fingers. I got a lot of questions for you, Lee. Lots of questions. Before we go to about how you planned President Moi's funeral and all that, here's a question. If you were so close to President Moi, why has he not acknowledged during all the farewell and burial ceremonies? We expected that he would have been given a chance to give a tribute, but you were totally ignored. Why? There were rumors that the family had issues with you.
I do not think that the family had issues with me, because one of the most influential people in Moi's family, the person who used to stay with Mr. Moi very often, who was very visible, was Senator Gideon Moi. And when I was under pressure to resign, when some evil forces were trying to destroy me and to get me out of the job, it is Gideon Moi who saved me. So there was no issue. It was the planners. Because you see, Gideon Moi was bereaved. His father had died. He was not among the people who are planning who should speak and who should not. The people who did it are known. And I do not wish to shame them by announcing who they are. They know themselves. But Gideon Moi is a person I respect, is a person who was working with me. Actually, when the father was not quite himself because of old age, he was frail, and people wanted to take that advantage to destroy me. It is Gideon Moi, in a very covert manner, who saved me. It is not Gideon Moi. It is not Moi family. No. Because I know my enemies, and the Moi family is not.
Okay. Linus Kaikai, you know him very well?
Yes, I know.
He says, I congratulate our senior Lee Njiru for putting his story in a book. His oral recollections too are breathtaking, not to mention his journalistic storytelling skills. And he also goes on to say, thank you for the in-depth interviews.
ni kwamba mwenyekiti wa IEBC Wafula Chebukati hawezi kuyatangaza matokeo kutoka eneo bunge lolote kabla matokeo hayo hayajakaguliwa, na ukaguzi wenyewe ni lazima uwe kwanza wa fomu 34A ambazo zinanakili ama zilitumika kunakili matokeo katika vituo vyote vya kupigia kura, na fomu hizo pia zikawasilishwa katika mtandao wa IEBC, yani kwenye ile portal, ili yeyote ambaye ana haja ya kufanya shughuli ya kujumlisha, yani tallying, anaweza kufanya hivyo. Na fomu zenyewe, kumbuka, zilikuwa kwenye kijitabu, one booklet, ambayo ilikuwa na nakala 6, yani original copy na duplicate zingine 5 ambazo zilipigwa ama ziliandikwa kwa pamoja kwa kutumia zile wanaita carbonated booklets. Yani form 34A original ndio inayoletwa hapa katika ukumbi wa Bomas. Na vile vile kuna fomu ambazo fomu moja iliwachwa kwenye lile sanduku la kupigia kura ambalo lilikuwa na kura za urais, na wale wa ama maajenti wa wagombea urais wakapewa kila mtu nakala ya form 34A ili waweze pia kuzitumia na kusambaza kwenye tallying center zao ama maeneo ya kujumlisha kura ya wagombea urais mbalimbali. Na vile vile pia katika kila kituo cha kupigia kura, mlangoni mwa kila kituo cha kupigia kura paliwekwa copy ama nakala ya form 34A ili wananchi wote wanaweza kufika katika kituo cha kupigia kura chochote na kuweza kujionea na kujiamulia matokeo yalivyokuwa yametangazwa. Na fomu hizo original ambazo zimefika hapa form 34A kutoka kila eneo la kupigia kura. Kwa mfano, eneo bunge fulani kama lina maeneo ya kupigia kura 150 ama 200, basi yule msimamizi wa uchaguzi katika eneo hilo, yani returning officer, anafika hapa na fomu hizo zote, form 34A 200 pamoja na form 34B ambayo ni jumla ya matokeo ambayo yametangazwa katika kila kituo cha kupigia kura. Na labda mtu anaweza kuuliza iwapo kuna utata wowote kuhusu matokeo ambayo yalinakiliwa katika kituo cha kupigia kura na yale matokeo ambayo yamewasilisha kwenye mtandao, na vile vile yale matokeo ambayo labda maajenti mbalimbali wanasema wako nayo, ni matokeo yepi ambayo yatachukuliwa ama yatafuatiliwa. Sheria ya uchaguzi, ukiangalia kipengee 39 sehemu ya E, kinaeleza bayana jinsi utaratibu huo utakaofuatwa na jinsi shughuli hiyo nzima itakavyofanyika, na mwenyekiti wa IEBC atafanya nini kuhakikisha kwamba matokeo hayo yana shughulikiwa. Ukiangalia kipenge hicho katika sheria hii kinasema determination and declaration of results. Ukielekea sehemu ya E inasema kwa kimombo, where there is a discrepancy between the electronically transmitted and the physically delivered results, the commission shall verify the results, and the result which is an accurate record of the results tallied, verified and declared at the respective polling station shall prevail. Yani, ikiwa kuna utata wowote ambao umeibuka kutokana na yale matokeo ambayo yaliwasilishwa kwa njia ya kielektroniki na kuwekwa kwenye mitandao ama kwenye portal, na yale matokeo ambayo yamewasilishwa hapa kwa moja, yani ile nakala ya matokeo hayo, ni matokeo yepi ambayo ndio sahihi zaidi ama ndio sahihi ama ndio yatakayotumika kama yale ya mwisho? Matokeo yatakayotumika kama yale ya mwisho kutoka kila kituo cha kupigia kura ni yale ambayo yalitangazwa katika kituo hicho cha kupigia kura. Hivyo basi, kama kuna chochote ambacho kinaweza kuwa kimefanyika kati ya matokeo hayo kupeperushwa na msimamizi wa uchaguzi katika eneo bunge kufika hapa, basi yale matokeo ambayo yalitangazwa katika kila kituo cha kupigia kura, hayo ndio matokeo ya mwisho na ndio yatakayotumika katika shughuli nzima ya ujumlishaji wa matokeo haya. Hivyo basi, shughuli ya utulivu imerejea katika ukumbi huu wa Bomas, na kinachosubiriwa sasa ni kuona iwapo kuna maeneo mengine mengi zaidi ambayo maafisa wa kusimamia uchaguzi katika maeneo hayo watakuwa wamefika hapa kuwasilisha stakabadhi zao kwa mwenyekiti wa IEBC, na baada ya matokeo hayo kukaguliwa, fomu zenyewe kukubalika, basi mwenyekiti wa IEBC ama komishna yeyote ambaye atakuwa ameagizwa kufanya shughuli hiyo na mwenyekiti wa IEBC atafika hapa katika ukumbi na kuyatangaza matokeo hayo. Kufikia sasa, kati ya maeneo bunge 290 na ukiongeza lile eneo moja la wale ambao walipiga kura kutoka ugaibuni, kufikia sasa ni maeneo 15, maeneo bunge 15 ambayo tayari matokeo yake yameshawasilishwa hapa, yakakaguliwa, yakakubalika na yakatangazwa rasmi na mwenyekiti wa IEBC Wafula Chebukati. Hivyo basi turejee studio kidogo, na iwapo kuna lolote ambalo litakuwa linaibuka hapa katika ukumbi wa Bomas ama matokeo yote ambayo yatakuwa yanatangazwa, bila shaka tutayapeperusha moja kwa moja kwa watazamaji wetu, kwa wasikilizaji wetu katika runinga ya Citizen, katika runinga ya Inoro TV na vile katika runinga ya Ramogi TV na mitandao yetu katika Citizen Digital. Hivyo basi kaa papo hapo ulipo, shughuli nzima ya kukagua stakabadhi inaendelea, ili kikomo chake iwe ni kubaini mbivu na mbichi kuhusu ni nani atakayekuwa rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na kumrithi Rais Uhuru Kenyatta katika kinyang'anyiro hiki cha urais ambacho kiliandaliwa siku ya Jumanne, yani tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 mwaka huu wa 2022. Turejee studio.
Well, asante sana Francis Gashuri there speaking to us from the Bomas of Kenya. Na ni kweli tempers yana flare vile Gashuri alisema kule. He was summarizing the reason why this is happening. Professor Abdi Guliye, who's the commissioner for IEBC, was trying to cool down the temperatures there because they were saying all we could hear from him is calling the chief agents to come to a meeting of some sorts. Also in Nakuru, you can see now that is Susan Kihika. I don't believe the announcement has been made yet, but this is supposed to happen shortly. Let's cross over there and find out what the latest is from the Tallying Center there. Let's listen in for a bit. So any moment from now, I believe the announcement should be made in Nakuru. Those are live pictures where Susan Kihika of the United Democratic Alliance is there. She was going against the incumbent, Lee Kinyanjui. I don't think they've made any announcement yet. She's the current senator for Nakuru, and we'll be finding out whether there's an announcement coming through who has won that poll. We're looking for Miriam Nyambura to find out what the latest is from there. Earlier on at the IEBC Tallying Center, National Tallying Center in Bomas of Kenya, there was a bit of fracas there with the agents trying to ensure that the process is followed. So what is happening there is that there's a verification of the Form 34As that came from the ground polling stations to the National Tallying Center. They're supposed to counter-check the ones that have been uploaded online. And I want to show you some of the pictures from the IEBC as well as we wait for an announcement in Nakuru. IEBC, there seems to be a bit of calm temperatures there. But previously, Professor Abdi Guliye, who's the commissioner for IEBC, was trying to call the chief agents for a meeting, and the observers as well, and returning officers, being very firm in saying that the returning officers should be respected at all points. And maybe Asaska, I'm sure you like this picture that you're seeing right now. The announcement has not been made yet, but in Homa Bay, it was made, and Gladys Wanga did win the seat for governor. Is this the turning point for the 2/3 gender rule? Asaska.
Thank you for that question, Trevor. When you look at Kenya, we have less than 20% Kenya's parliament. The previous parliament is made up of women. And the image on our screen here makes me very happy because as much as there's a lot of gender misrepresentation exists, we've put affirmative actions in place with our 2/3 gender rules, as well as with the 47 county women reps. And if you look at our neighboring countries, Rwanda has about 61% female representation. Our neighbor here, Tanzania, they have about 36%. Uganda has about 34%. I think with the numbers of women who have won elections this year, I think it's quite impressive to say the least.
Okay.
For us to sustain and safeguard that particular momentum, probably if you look at the campaign trail and even the narrative that was being sold during the season of campaigns in the country, what would you say has worked for women this time round that probably we didn't get in the previous elections?
I think from where I sit, the Azimio coalition having appointed Martha Karua as the running mate must have must have changed things around a bit, must have made Kenyans look at things differently this time round.
But yeah, Franklin, what are your views on this? Because this is the one thing that we've been unable to achieve in Kenya. In fact, but there's those who are also claiming that it's not just the positions up there. It has to cascade to the lower positions as well. Because just a minority few of them can be at the top, but the majority are still oppressed on the lower cadre.
Several interventions are required, but before I come into the proposals on how we can go about this, it's obviously that if you look at the data that we have, there are two problems. One is that are there sufficient numbers of women who are offering themselves to contest? What is their shelf life in the contest? Because it's not an easy journey. What are the challenges that face women candidates? Number one is we're seeing an increasing number of women offering themselves for political office, and that is a good indication. We had about 5,000 women expressing interest in the various parties to be nominated. Unfortunately, out of the 16,000 plus candidates that ended up on the ballot, only 1,982 managed to go through the party primaries, same for a few independent candidates again. So you can see that there is an increasing number of women offering themselves for political office. The recruitment is happening good. The retention is also happening well. But we need an intervention at the party gatekeepers level, because over half of those women who offered themselves to contest failed at the party primaries, mostly because of the actions of the gatekeepers, the guys who finance the parties, the guys who make the decisions at night in those parties, and the guys who actually finance those campaigns. And majority of them are not women. We also need to recalibrate the woman candidate, that it is not sufficient to be elected because you are a woman. I think the last qualification we can attribute about Mother Karua as choice as a running mate, the last one would be a woman. Mother Karua has a very good track record in terms of leadership. Whatever she's done when she's in opposition, in government, in the civil society, in the judiciary as a magistrate, is a clear record. And I think women should sell their credentials more other than gender. And that must be quite clear, because when they sell gender mostly, what we are seeing is then a response of chauvinism, that we are highly patriarchal, and therefore challenges like control over utilization of and access to family resources to mount campaigns is not as easy for them. It's not as easy for the woman, but it's easy for the family. We have our most important asset is of course land, the natural resource, and women don't have access to this that really give quick value money for the campaigns. We need to deal with the cultural issues. We need to deal with the gatekeepers, but more significantly, I think we need the political goodwill at all levels. When I hear the discussion around two-thirds gender, and we're only focusing on political parties, when the judiciary is still not gender responsive, when other government agencies, including the outgoing cabinet of Uhuru Kenyatta, over the 10 years, never been gender responsive, why are we just focusing on elected positions only when we have actually need the executive and administrative decisions need to be made to make sure that there is that because it's not just about political, but public office. So even as we discuss the political goodwill, we need administrative and executive decisions that place women in the right places. Then we need to focus on the constitution as well. We have a provision that we are struggling to actualize. Several attempts through Parliament have failed. Several attempts through the court, including ourselves, challenging those things in the judiciary, have failed. Our victory of 2017, when the court issued a directive that the next elections of 2022, the parties have the responsibility to submit lists that are gender responsive, that IEBC should not, accept such submissions from the parties for nominated candidates to contest on the ticket that are not meeting that threshold. At the very last minute, the same judiciary changed that. So political parties got away with it. So while we work on the political goodwill, while we do capacity building for more women and mentorship for them to come out in numbers, we need to deal with the incentives for the gatekeepers. We need to deal with the administrative and legal and constitutional frameworks that must be fine-tuned for us to achieve that. Otherwise, we'll just continue talking about the patriarchy challenges here and there, when in actual sense, Kenyans, again, I will end with data. I started with data. In the 2017 elections, 8.4 out of 10 women that arrived at the ballot were elected. So the voter does not have a problem with women candidates. It is the parties that are failing women. It is those in power and in authority to take the administrative and executive decisions that are failing women. Women are coming out in numbers. We are ready to build capacity. We are ready to network with them to the right political positions. But there must be something that has to be dealt with.
Well said, Mukwanja. Professor Naituli, it's one thing, like he says, it's one thing to come out and declare interest to vie for a political seat. It's another to be nominated for that, yet another to be elected for that. If you look at that journey and how women have fared in that particular journey, who do you think has failed women? What are the missed opportunities that you can cite in supporting women leadership in the country?
I think nobody has really found the women. I think women are naturally entering in leadership. And what is helping, especially in this election, is the fact that the election has been about issues, and the women are very good at articulating issues. The women in leadership always fares better than men when they have an opportunity to lead. The society structure, economic structure of society, you could say that's as for the women because it has been negative. In most of societies here, women don't even inherit the father's property because they're supposed to be married and get to grow some other community, so they don't inherit land and all that. So the cultural issues, they have been an impediment because they are denying the resources of which now they can move themselves into politics. But once women move into politics, they progress because they don't engage in most of the things that men engage in. They're extremely constructive when they remain women, when they don't want to be men. They are very constructive, and that's why you can see is 8 out of 10, 8.5 are elected because the voter, they can see the value of having a woman. I want to remember the Ngurenberg scandal, which almost brought it down in this economy. The person who exposed that is a woman, Jacinta Mwatela from Taita. The men were very happy looting the country, but she wasn't, and she told us about it. So the voters, the Kenyans, can understand the value of women in leadership, but also the globe, the village. The world has become one village. They can see the good job Jacinta, and then that's her name, the New Zealand Prime Minister doing. They can see what Angela Merkel did for Germans, and therefore the Kenyans can understand what could happen to us if we have a woman president. The transformative nature of how women work is way beyond the surface nature with which men apply themselves into job. Men usually are what is called transactional leaders. In other words, you go into leadership to seek self-gratification or to seek self-aggrandizement. The women go into leadership to transform society. And we are beginning to understand that because we can see the whole world what the women have done when they are at the top decision level, when they can make decisions at that level. We can see what they have done to other societies. So I think the Kenyan society is appreciating that. And I believe that not just this election, subsequent elections, you are going to see more and more men. I just want to give you an example from Meru. I asked a voter who was very passionate about voting for Kawira Mwangasa, who was running on independent against the sitting governor, Kiraitu Murongi. And then this is what that voter told me. He's a man. He told me, "Great to plant the trees in August, in dry season, from Meru to Nanyuki." Spent 100 million shillings when there was no medicine in hospitals and dispensaries. And then the man, he told me, there is no woman who will do that. You understand that? That is a deep analysis of why for that person, that vote was important to go to that woman. The level of trust when she has the job, that it will not be transactional, it will not be herself, but it will be transformational. So people, the society is getting out of the cultural gridlock and in beginning to understand the value of a woman when the woman has power. Because of the nature of women, even in nurturing. It is only men who cause problems if you try to stand it. The women cause very few problems. Even in this country, it is the men who has run it down, it's not women. People understand that. Yeah. And I think we're appreciating more women in leaders.
Okay. And we are. It's coming from a man. Yeah. It was the other way around. Then it would have been another issue altogether. We're talking about the woman's touch in terms of priorities. You know, if a woman is a leader, sort of like gives the woman's touch to the priorities. I know this is a conversation we should be picking up just to understand more about the trends and women who've been elected so far.
Absolutely. We're about to take a short break here on Kenya's Choice, but what you're seeing on your screen right now is Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika. Kihika vied for the seat of the United Democratic Alliance Party ticket, and incumbent Lee Kinyanjui is also defending his seat on the Jubilee Party ticket. So what we know so far is that the IEBC officials are the only ones allowed to declare who the winner is, despite all the numbers that you've seen. This is, at this particular point, it's Susan Kihika, the senator for Nakuru. She's vying for the governor's seat against the incumbent Lee Kinyanjui. In 2013, Kihika was elected Speaker of the Nakuru County Assembly, as a position she served for 5 years until 2017. She then vied for the country's senatorial seat in 2017, which she won with 637,700 votes. And now they're all fighting for the seat of the governor for Nakuru. The first governor for Nakuru was Kinuthia Mbugua. Then Lee Kinyanjui is the second one. He's defending his seat under the Jubilee Party ticket. Susan Kihika, the senator for Nakuru, is fighting to get that seat as well under the UDA ticket. Anytime from now, the announcements will be made officially there, which will declare who the governor for Nakuru will be. Remember, that is a prerogative of the IEBC officials.
All right.
Anything that you've seen out there.
That is from Nakuru County, right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, at the Bomas of Kenya. Also, we are following up for you what's happening. What we know is that a few minutes ago, there was a bit of chaotic scenes there, you know, as the IEBC officials were trying to put everything to order as they continue with the process of verifying presidential and other results from the other elective positions. So far, what we know is that 15 constituencies, the results of 15 constituencies have been officially declared by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. This is out of the 291 constituencies, if you include the one constituency that is the diaspora vote. And of course, there's been order that has been restored there. According to Professor Gulie Yakub, he had said that 2 coordinators have been placed at the floor of the Tallying Center just to control whatever was happening earlier, being very categorical that no heckling will be tolerated, as just trying to make sure that the agents representing different candidates there collaborate with them in ensuring that this whole process goes on smoothly. So far, 8 tables have been set up to fast-track this process. A proposal was there to increase this number by 4 to have 12 tables so that IEBC can be able to complete this process in time, but that is yet to happen. So 8 tables so far for the IEBC officials to interact with the county returning officers as they receive the Form 34As and the Form 34Bs, the physical ones that then they collate with what they have obtained from their online portal.
Yeah, in Marsabit also there's been an announcement there. Muhammad M. Ali is the Marsabit governor elect right now. He's a former assistant minister for special programs, former member of parliament Moyale constituency, and the governor for Marsabit County. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be giving you the updates as they come. Anytime we cross over to different places in Kenya's Choice, let you know what the people's verdict was. See you in a bit.
Hi everyone. It's not good news. We'll definitely be seeing difficult times ahead for the business. But with all that being said, honey.
Hi.
I really need to finish this meal. Okay, I'll have one.
Why does the lady have stars on her face?
I don't know, but you can't ask them.
First you twist it, and then you lick it, and then you dunk it, and then you eat it. Now get back to work.
Thank you, Mama.
Nice and Lovely imetunza ngozi yetu for over 25 years. Sasa inatujali with the best of jelly na the best of cream. Sawa.
Gundua jelly in cream ya kwanza duniani kutoka Nice and Lovely. Nyepesi kama cream na inalinda kama jelly. Nice and Lovely jelly in cream leaves no grease.
Jaribu the best of jelly na the best of cream.
Nyosha shilingi zaidi na zaidi. Sasa unapata ofa juu ya ofa ya kuwa 100% data bonus leo. Alafu piga star 544# au tembelea My Safaricom app kununua bundle na kupata target yako. Safaricom is for you.
Follow the 2022 general election live on Viusasa. Get instant results on the go and on any device. Whether it go to Viusasa and tap Elections 2022 tab. Live results straight to your phone with Viusasa.
Nice and Lovely imetunza ngozi yetu for over 25 years. Sasa inatujali with the best of jelly na the best of cream. Sawa.
Gundua jelly in cream ya kwanza duniani kutoka Nice and Lovely. Nyepesi kama cream na inalinda kama jelly. Nice and Lovely jelly in cream leaves no grease.
Jaribu the best of jelly na the best of cream.
Kevin, it's hot as hell. And who's this sweaty guy getting all cozy? You must be invisible. Get up, now. Give him a wake-up call. Yes, that's right. Swivel those hips.
Bing bang bing, bing bing bang, bam bam bang, bing bang bing, bam bam.
Sasa, mimi ni Zuri kutoka Safaricom na niko hapa kukuchanua. Kaa macho. Safaricom upiga kutoka 0722 000 000 pekee. Ukipigiwa na namba nyingine, usipeane maelezo yako ya kibinafsi. Tuma namba ya mkora kwa 333 ili Safaricom ichukue hatua. Jichanue and take control.
This election, Citizen Digital has you covered. Catch all minute-by-minute updates right on your phone. Download the Citizen Digital app, click on the Elections 2022 tab, and choose the option you want to follow. Presidential, Governor, Senator, Women Rep, and MP. Keep up with the latest in numbers, figures, and updates, fresh from the ground to your phone. As Kenya makes its choice this 2022, sit back and keep it Citizen Digital.
Citizen Digital.
Dark chocolate is a good source of magnesium, which can help regulate serotonin and elevate your mood.
Soft Care Pet
Dental Care has a floating design that perfectly fits. It reduces 70% friction on skin, absorbs fully, and blocks leakages from both sides.
Soft care, yeah.
Thank you for staying with Kenya's Choice right here on Citizen TV. We want to show you the various places where we're keeping an eye on. One of them is Nakuru, the other one is in the Bomas of Kenya. And just a quick update of what has been going on around if you're just joining us now. Let's start off with the Bomas of Kenya. There's been a bit of a fracas there earlier on, just a little bit, but what we know so far that the calm has been restored. The agents, the chief agents, observers and returning officers are currently continuing the verification process of the Form 34As and the Form 34Bs from the constituency levels. Earlier on, Professor Abdi Guli was a commissioner for IEBC, tried to restore calm there when there was a bit of a fracas. And of course, we know right now they've already verified information from 15 constituencies. They have about 274 more to go. According to their portal, they've received 46,203 Form 34As out of the 46,229 that is expected. That means they only have about 26 more to go. In terms of the Form 34Bs, which is a total collation of figures from the constituencies, they have received 216 out of the required 291. So the tallying is ongoing there, and there's a screen in that area that are showing the numbers of what has happened so far. And just a few moments ago, there was a briefing from the Assumption of the Office of the President Committee and the media briefing, just establishing their presence, saying that they've had a meeting. That team have specific functions. The most critical is to provide for procedure and ceremony for the Assumption of the Office of the President-elect. And they had mentioned that they've already had a meeting so far, the first inaugural meeting, and they will definitely continue having those meetings and said that they will ensure there's a smooth transition. At the Kasarani Tallying Center, we're expecting figures?
Yeah, we're also expecting figures at the Kasarani Tallying Center there. We are staying there for you, also just hoping that there should be an announcement as well any minute from now. It is one of the 17 constituencies in Nairobi County. So far, results have been received for only 3 constituencies, expecting 14 more to come from that particular venue. So far, those who have been declared MP-elect include Peter Orero of Kibra constituency, who was vying under the ODM party ticket. From Langata constituency, Felix Odiwor, who was vying under the ODM party ticket, also was declared MP-elect. In Kasarani constituency, Ronald Karauri, who was vying as an independent candidate, was declared MP-elect. In Embakasi Central, Benjamin Gadhiru, who was vying under the UDA party ticket, was also declared as MP-elect. And the numbers keep coming in, even as we expect more announcements with regards to the woman representative seat, the senator's seat, and the gubernatorial race, also results with regards to that. So we'll stay on that for you at the Kasarani Tallying Center right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi.
Absolutely. Our guests are still with us here. Professor Gitile Naituli, governance expert, Franklin Mkwanja, CMD executive director, and Asaska Labarakwe, public policy expert. Asaska, before we got into let's get to the fracas of the Bomas of Kenya, first of all, where the IEBC was just a few moments ago. Does it shake your confidence when you see that, or does it come back and justify what you're saying, that it is a highly emotional game at this particular point? And what should they do now to restore the public confidence?
Yeah. Thank you, Trevor. What we've seen in our screens 45 minutes ago is not good for Kenyans, because we are on the edge. We're very anxious, and I'm glad that it took just a couple of minutes to have calm back at Bomas. And we should all understand that verification is a very, very complex process, and it's actually quite manual. You know, it's quite physical, because once the CRO walks into Bomas with the Forms 34Bs, they literally have to go through all the tallings and make sure that they all match from what has been uploaded in the system. So I think there's no point of panicking right now. I think we need a lot of patience, because it's not an easy job, to be honest. And Trevor, to go back to your question earlier on, for this 2022 polls, you asked whether is it an issue-based or is it about character and integrity? And I'd like to jog our memories a little bit. If we go down history, almost 60 years post our independence, we've always seen that Kenya's elections are always shaped by old guard politicians, you know? as much as we've made a lot of significant strides in our democratic space, we realize that most of the time what we get is it's just the same pool of politicians who give us promises, who recycle these promises after every 5 years. And for example, a good example will be, you'll see that both Raila and Ruto have been either together on one side or against one another over the last couple of years. And for us to be really objective and honest with each other as Kenyans, both Raila and Ruto represent continuity. You know, it's just not Raila because it's supported by His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. And it all boils down to political convenience and at what time. Yeah. And currently, we see that the political convenience is when Uhuru, His Excellency Uhuru, supports Raila presidency, and Ruto, with his Kenya Kwanza coalition, going against the tide, as we've seen. And a good example, you'll see that Ruto campaigned against the 2010 constitution back then, but later campaigned against the BBI. And then on the other hand, we've seen Raila campaigning for the 2010 Kenya's constitution, as well as campaigning for the BBI. So it's all about political convenience.
Yeah.
Not really issue-based, if we're really honest with each other.
I see both of them respond.
Kwanja, how do we as Kenyans prevent ourselves from being caught up in this politics of convenience? What should empower the electorate to this extent? Because I believe it's important.
I think Rome was not built in one day. Sometimes I think we punish ourselves. We have an exaggerated sense of issues, and we growing there. We getting there. If you look at the level of ethnicity in our politics, it's loosening. People want to entertain a conversation on social issues. And the beauty with social issues is that they affect everyone and anyone. You're talking about agriculture. You're talking about reproductive rights. You're talking about unemployment. You're talking about, social welfare issues. Elected representatives shape these social issues through the legislations that they make. And you can also not divorce social issues from economic issues. Taxation policy and all those things are affecting people, and people with devolution power and resources getting closer to the people. People are now closely interacting post-2010 with the leaders and realizing how much they mean in their lives. Quality of life and how the politician who's been elected affects that is becoming increasingly clear. I think what we need to do to improve our democratic standards and shift our democratic culture is to further invest in the quality of education. Yes, Kenyans are, to a good extent, literate, and they are not ignorant, but the capability to make critical civic decisions and engage in civic actions that make sure that the will of the people prevails and the needs of the people are addressed by the political class is a conversation that needs to continue. We need to invest further in alternative spaces for peace, for dialogue. Because if this society is so stratified that the elected leaders, once elected, they want to rush to the penthouse and leave the ordinary folks in the basement until they need to be re-elected, is something that political parties have failed, that it's from point A to B as a means. But political parties need to sustain conversation with the people so that they keep their heartbeat on the interests and the needs of the people. Because parties are about articulating and aggregating and representing the issues that people want. And that disconnect has to be built over time. That's why I was saying, are we suffering from a paralysis of analysis of our progress? Are we having a sense of exaggeration on our progress? I think we're facing the right direction. And we need to encourage more young people who are crossbreeds, and they are not beholden to the ethnic backgrounds, and they only want their issues addressed. In regard to what is going on in Bomas right now, I think it's been quelled, but it's important to mention that Chebukati has 7 constitutional days to announce the elections. One of the critical grounds the 2017 elections were nullified was about the returns Forms 34. About 11,000 of them would not be accounted for, and ODM also claimed some forgeries, or NASA claimed some forgeries. And on that basis, the elections were nullified. And we have seen steps taken by IEBC to ensure that they are not just being accountable, but also being transparent. The portal is accessible, you know, and Forms 34B have to be generated and have to be received by Chebukati. Chebukati has to process Form 34C and declare the results, and then offer the president-elect Form 34D, which is the certificate. And this takes time. We have seen the media putting in an effort. We have seen other. Why are not those guys who want to cause problems not telling us how their tallies are ongoing? I mean, this is important that we need to look at it. And the fact is, one of these 2 guys, and let me start with the bottom 2. I think Professor Wajakoya and David Mwaura deserve to treat us with some honor and concede and allow Kenyans to focus on the truth and reduce those numbers of agents from the tallying hall so that there is sufficient space for scrutiny. For Raila Odinga and William Ruto, one will be a president, the other one will be a resident with privileges. So Kenyans must be vigilant and avoid any motivation or pressure to act in a wrong way. And I know for sure there is no single politician today in this country with the economic situation that we are in, with the challenges and with the level of awareness, the civic awareness of the people, and the desperation for peace. Yeah. There is no single politician with the capacity to mobilize violence.
Frankly, in all that thought, I believe there's an announcement of results happening right now in Garissa, right? So let's cross over there and listen in.
296. Abdi Yusuf Issa garnered 8,536. Adan Hussein Bare garnered 1,649. Haji Abdul Qadir Mohammed garnered 72,383. Mohammed Khalid Ali garnered 1,742. Shale Mohammed Isaac garnered 19,279. Shide Abubakar Mohammed garnered 900. Therefore, okay. Let me read again. Please, in the interest of time, let us be orderly. Yeah. These are the valid votes, the total valid votes in favor of each candidate. Abdi Ahmed Rashid Korio garnered 3,296. 3,296. Abdi Yusuf Issa garnered 8,536. 8,536. Adan Hussein Bare garnered 1,649. 1,649. Dabar Dawood Adan garnered 1,841. 1,841. Haji Abdul Qadir Mohammed garnered 72,383. 72,383. Muhammad Khalid Ali garnered 1,742. 1,742. Shale Muhammad Isaac garnered 19,279. 19,279. Shide Abubakar Mohammed garnered 900 votes. So those are the final results for Garissa. So I wish from the results that you can see, the winner for the election of senator is the Jubilee candidate. So I will wish that he comes forward so that we hand him over the certificate. So, certificate of elected senator. I, the county returning officer, Abdul Wahid Hussein, hereby declare that Abdul Qadir Mohammed Haji of ID number 1283-4956 has been duly elected as the senator for Garissa County in the election held on the 9th day of August 2022, and is so declared on this 12th day of August 2022. Congratulations, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana.
So, unaweza kuongea na watu kidogo?
Oh, okay.
So we are finalizing the results for county woman member to the National Assembly. So meanwhile, the senator can actually say one or two things. Welcome, Mheshimiwa.
Asante.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Asante.
Asante sana. Thank you very much, CRO Abdul Wahid. It's a great privilege and honor to be re-elected as the Senator of Garissa County. First and foremost, I would like to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the great favor, blessings that He has bestowed upon me during this time. I would also like to thank the IBC team in Garissa for the hard work that they have done during this period of elections. They have shown us this time around that it is possible to have a free and fair election in Garissa. They have worked tirelessly. The whole team, from the CRO to all the ROs from the different constituencies, they have worked tirelessly and they have worked with dignity and integrity. And we thank them very much. And we would like IBC to ensure that they have a high commendation for the officials that they've had in Garissa County. Last but not least, I would like to thank the people of Garissa for showing confidence in me and giving me an opportunity again to serve them as the Senator of Garissa County. Pengine nikasema mawili au matatu kwa Kiswahili. Kwanza nawashukuru watu wa Garissa kwa kunipatia nafasi hii kwa mara ya pili. Namshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala kwa kunionyesha njia ya sawa, kwa kunibariki na kuniletea rahma yake na kuniondolea kila la shari na kunijalia la kheri. Namshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa hayo yote. Nashukuru sana wafanyikazi wa IBC wa Garissa County. Wametuonesha ya kwamba ni kweli tunaweza kuwa na uchaguzi huru na uchaguzi ya kisawasawa hapa Garissa County. Wafanyikazi wote wa IBC ambayo walikuwa hapa Garissa walikuwa waaminifu na walikuwa wamefanya kazi yao vile inavyotakikana. Tunawashukuru sana na tunawahisi wakubwa wa IBC commissioners wahakikishe wamewaona vizuri hawa wafanyikazi wa Garissa. Nataka pia kushukuru mrengo wa security wa Garissa. Safari hii wametuonesha wamefanya kazi sana. Wamefanya kazi usiku na mchana. Wamejitolea, wametuwekea amani na wamechunga kura zetu. Tunawashukuru sana pia viongozi wote wa security wa hapa Garissa County. Na mwisho yangu ni kutoa shukrani ya dhati kwa watu wote wa Garissa wote wale ambao walinipigia kura na wale ambao hawakunipigia kura. Ninawashukuru kwa kujitokeza kupiga kura, na nawashukuru pia kwa kunipatia nafasi hii kwa mara ya pili kuwa senator wa Garissa County. Yangu ni kusema ya kwamba nitafanya kazi yangu vile inavyotakikana. Nitahudumia wananchi wa Garissa wote bila ubaguzi wa ukikabila, rangi ama dini. Yangu ni kuomba kwa Mwenyezi Mungu anipe nguvu na anipe hekima na anionyeshe njia ya sawa ninapotimiza kazi yangu ya Garissa County. Kwa hayo machache, asanteni sana. Asante sana.
No, we're waiting for the woman rep. So mtongoja kidogo, nataka agent anisaidie ya woman rep. Alafu ndio sasa we'll declare order huwa nipo. Tunamalizia na kabla.
Kaunti ya Garissa ambapo seneta wa kaunti hiyo Abdul Kadir Mohamed Haji ambaye alikuwa anatetea kiti chake kupitia chama cha Jubilee ameweza kukihifadhi. Kumbuka kwamba Abdul Haji aliweza kumrithi babake baada ya kifo chake mnamo Februari mwaka jana, na hapo akitoa hotuba yake baada ya kukabidhiwa cheti cha ushindi na afisa mkuu wa IEBC katika kaunti hiyo ya Garissa, akisema kwamba atahakikisha kwamba anatekeleza majukumu yake kwa manufaa ya wakazi wa eneo hilo. Na tunazidi tu kufuatilia jinsi mambo yanavyoendelea katika maeneo mbalimbali. Kuna ile shughuli inayoendelea kuhakiki zile fomu za 34A na 34B katika eneo la Bomas. Pia tunafuatilia matukio katika eneo la Kasarani ambapo kituo cha kujumlisha kura katika kaunti ya Nairobi, shughuli hiyo inaendelea huko. Na Ben Kirui unavyomwona hapo yuko katika kituo cha kujumlisha kura cha eneo bunge la Dagoretti North. Anaungana nasi hivi sasa kutoka huko. Kirui, hujambo? Kutoka Narok sasa umerejea Nairobi. Je, kuna matangazo yote rasmi ambayo yametolewa kuhusiana na mshindi wa ubunge katika eneo bunge la Dagoretti North?
Na bila shaka Mashirima, sasa hivi tuko katika kituo cha kuhesabia kura cha Dagoretti North ambapo tayari uhesabu wa kura umekamilika, na yule ambaye ametangazwa kuwa mbunge mteule ni Beatrice Elachi ambaye amezoa kura 52,515 akifuatiliwa kwa karibu sana na mwenzake ama ambaye alikuwa anakabiliana naye. Lakini niko hapa na mheshimiwa Beatrice Elachi ambaye nitampa tu fursa aweze kutupa hisia zake, kumeendaje ama anahisi vipi kuwa mbunge mteule wa eneo hili la Dagoretti North. Mheshimiwa, karibu Citizen TV. Tuambie unahisi vipi hisia zako kuweza kutangazwa mbunge mteule wa eneo la Dagoretti North.
Kwanza niseme asante sana, nishukuru sana Mwenyezi Mungu, nishukuru sana wanadago. Niseme ya kwamba kwa hao kunipatia kura 52,500 na ni kuonyesha ishara ya kwamba wana imani na mimi na wanatarajia pia mimi niweze kutimiza yale tumesema. Kwa hivyo yangu ni kuwaambia wana Dagoretti North ya kwamba mimi nitaomba Mungu anipe hekima na nisaidie niwe na wajibu ya kufanya ile kazi nimesema. Lakini pia niseme ya kwamba nashukuru kwa imani na amani ile tuko nayo. Naomba tuendelee hivyo. Hatujawahi piga msasa hapa tukamaliza bila vurugu na nini. Lakini mara ya kwanza tumemaliza, na tumemaliza kwa heshima, tuko na amani, na hiyo ndio tunatarajia hata Kenya nzima. Na waomba sana tupende nchi yetu. Tumemaliza siasa, hakuna cha kupigana vifua. Nafikiri ya muhimu wa Kenya tu wangependa kuona sisi tukianza kufanya kazi, na natarajia ni hiyo ndio itatupeleka bunge, hiyo ndio tunaenda kufanya. maana tumetembea Kenya, tumeona zile shida wa Kenya wako nayo, na tunaomba Mungu asimame mbele kwa hii nchi. Hii nchi ukiona tumeirudisha pale tulikuwa 2007, ni Mungu ameishikilia sasa hivi. Tumeigawa hivyo tena, na si vizuri. Si vizuri. Naonyeshana kwamba lazima tukue na ile wakati wa kujiuliza siku gani tutakuwa tu wa Kenya na tupendane. Yaani kiongozi akisimama anasimama. Ndio tumekuja, hatukufanya sasa siasa za ukabila sana, lakini tunapomaliza kuipiga hiyo kura unaiona tu. Kwa hivyo tunaomba Mungu. Mimi ningeomba sana Mungu asimamie nchi sasa.
Naam, labda nikuulize yale mambo ambayo umepangia wakazi wa Dagoretti North. Haswa kuna mmoja ambaye aliniuliza nikuulize swali hili. Pale Kawangware kuna dump sites ambazo ziko pale. Wanasema una mipango gani na baada ya siku ngapi tutarajie kwamba mambo yatanyooka?
Kwa sababu kuna hiyo dump site na kwa kweli inakera watu wengi. Na mimi nimesema sisi Nairobi tunataka gavana na yule wananchi wamechagua ndio tunaenda kufanya naye kazi. Huyu gavana hana saa ya kukaa kwa ofisi. Ile takataka iko Kawangware iko 46, sisi Kawangware si dumping site, tunaitaka iende sasa. Barabara inaharibika, hatuitaki tena. Zile siwa waliziwacha zikiwa zimetengenezwa na hazijaisha, tunataka waje wamalizie. Sisi haja yetu ni kufanya maendeleo kwa wana Kenya na haswa wana Dagoretti North. Wangependa kuona maendeleo, wangependa kuona sisi tukifanya kazi pamoja kwa kufanya kazi na national government na kufanya, maana hii ni Nairobi, na kufanya kazi pia na county. Yes.
Naam, asante sana Madam Beatrice Elachi, kila laheri unapoanza kazi. Naam, huyo ndiye mbunge mteule wa Dagoretti North, na hapo awali nilikuwa naendelea tu kuzisoma takwimu za ama jinsi wapiga kura eneo hili walifanya, lakini nilikuwa na tashwishi kidogo Mashirima, manake kuna wale ambao labda wameniona hewani wakapiga simu, lakini nitaweza tu kurejelea tena niseme kwamba Beatrice Elachi ndiyo mbunge mteule ambapo alijisolea kura 52,515 akifuatiliwa sana na Elijah Oenga ambaye alikuwa mgombea huru na kura 13,620. Amos Oyongo wa chama cha UDA akipata kura 11,654 na kura jumla ya kura ambazo ziliweza kupigwa katika eneo hili ni 82,870 kati ya jumla ya wapiga kura ambao walijiandikisha kupiga kura hapa, ambao ni 158,659, na niseme kwamba ni kiti ambacho kilikuwa kimevutia wagombea 14, Beatrice Elachi akiibuka mshindi. Na vile vile wale wawakilishi wodi wameweza kutangazwa rasmi na kupewa vyeti vyao ili waanze kuhudumia wakazi wa zile wodi ambazo wanawakilisha, ikiwemo kwenye wodi ya Kawangware ni Frederick Njogu wa chama cha UDA, katika wodi ya Gatina Kevin Sakwa chama cha ODM, Kileleshwa ni Robert Alai wa chama cha ODM, na Kilimani akiibuka mshindi Moses Ogeto wa chama cha ODM, na wodi ya Kabiro akiibuka mshindi Clarence Munga wa chama cha ODM. Wote hao tayari wamekabidhiwa vyeti vyao vya ushindi na yule returning officer wa county wa Tallying Center ya constituency hii ya Dagoretti North. Niseme kwamba kile ambacho sasa kinasubiriwa ni watangaze washindi ama kutangaza tu matokeo ya viti vya ugavana, kiti cha useneta na vile vile kiti cha uwakilishi wadi. Baada ya hapa wataelekea kule Kasarani ambapo ni County Tallying Center. Mashirima.
Shukran sana Ben Kirui hapo akiwa anatupa matokeo ya eneo bunge la Dagoretti North, ambapo kama ulivyojionea Beatrice Elachi amezungumza baada ya kutangazwa mshindi katika eneo bunge hilo kupitia chama cha ODM. Tunazidi tu kufuatilia matukio kutoka maeneo mbalimbali. Kama nilivyokuarifu, kuna hii shughuli hapa inayoendelea katika eneo la Kasarani ambacho ndio kituo cha kujumlisha kura katika county kaunti ya Nairobi, na tunaarifiwa kwamba hii shughuli inaenda kwa mwendo wa kinyonga, lakini tunangoja tu kwamba fomu za matokeo kutoka maeneo bunge mbalimbali itaweza kuendelea vizuri katika kaunti hiyo, katika kaunti hii ya Nairobi, katika ukumbi wa Kasarani Sports Complex. Na kwa upande huu mwingine tunaona kwamba hali ya utulivu imerejea katika eneo la Bomas, ambapo shughuli ya kuhakiki fomu 34A na 34B kutoka maeneo bunge mbalimbali inaendelea vizuri. Baada ya hali kutulizwa, hapo kulikuwa na mgogoro kidogo kati ya baadhi ya viongozi na maafisa wa IEBC, na tulimuona kamishna wa IEBC Abdi Gulie akisema kwamba hiyo sehemu inapaswa tu kuwa na wale watu ambao wanastahili kuwa hapo, akiwaita wale mawakala wakuu kutoka mirengo ya Azimio na Kenya Kwanza kufika pale juu kwenye jukwaa ili waweze kujadiliana na hali ya utulivu ikarejea. Wanahabari wetu, nadhani ni Francis Gashuri, yuko huko na atakuwa anatuletea maelezo zaidi kuhusiana na hadi kufikia sasa shughuli hiyo imefikia wapi katika eneo la Kasarani. Ni Gatete Njoroge ambaye anafuatilia matukio hayo, na pia ataweza kutueleza ni nini haswa ambacho kinasababisha shughuli hiyo ya kupokea fomu kutoka maeneo bunge ya Nairobi. Kwa nini shughuli hiyo inakwenda kwa mwendo wa kinyonga? Tunapumzika kidogo, tutarejea hivi punde na mengi zaidi.
Finish this leaf. Okay, I'll have one.
First you twist it, and then you lick it, and then you dunk it, and then you eat it.
Kind of confidence, no worries, no leakages. Could concentrate, impossible. Everything is doable. Yeah, so fit, so right, so fit, so right, so fit, so right. Soft care, so fit, so right. Soft Care Petal Care has a floating design that perfectly fits. It reduces 70% friction on skin, absorbs fully, and blocks leakages from both sides.
Soft Care, yeah.
Big leagues are back. Enjoy boosted odds on the English Premier League, the French Ligue 1, the German Bundesliga, La Liga, Italian Serie A, and many top leagues only on Shabiki.com. Kuwa Shabiki. Play now. Strictly not for persons under the age of 18. Betting can be addictive. Play responsibly. Shabiki.com is authorized and regulated by the BCLB. License number 416.
Simply following the care label of the items and the dosage instructions on the detergent packaging will give you the hygienic results you need.
Toffee Strong enzymatic particles remove stains easily. Microcapsule fragrance goes into fibers and give you lasting freshness for the whole day.
Colorful day, wonderful scent.
Dial *126# or download my Safaricom app and let's lift one another.
Enjoy View Travel affordable holiday packages. Kenya's #1 travel agent and online booking platform, View Travel offers wide variety of local flights, hotels, transfers, holidays, activities, and so much more. Whether traveling as a family, couples, chama, church groups, friends, or even going for trips to Mombasa, Diani, Malindi or Watamu, Masai Mara, Naivasha, Nakuru, or staycation in Nairobi. Call 0703-254-254. This is Kenya. Dream, explore, discover. Powered by Citizen TV.
Candace, what's that?
I brought you a small bonus.
Bonus for what?
You got us 299 family dinners, 64 kisses on the cheek, 12 road trips to see grandma, 42 jokes from daddy, 49 laughs from mommy.
In over 60 years of dealing with numbers, we've learned that the numbers that matter the most to you are the ones that matter the most to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it.
All right, thank you for staying with Kenya's Choice 2022 right here on Citizen TV. A lot is going on around you. The people's verdict is in, and let me show you some of them that are coming through. Marsabit County elected governor is Mohamud Ali under UDM. Let's try and show you as many of them as we can. Let's get to the next one, and so that you see. I almost said, and so you what to see. You see, this is the influence of Mashirima.
It is.
Mashirima.
It's finally happening. Anyway, we are taking you now to Nyamira County. The governor-elect there is Amos Kimwomi Nyaribo, who was vying under the UPA party ticket.
He's the incumbent as well right now. In Tana River County, elected governor is Dado Godana, also the incumbent under ODM. Cross over to the next one and show you what is going on around your county. Siaya governor is James Orengo, officially elected there. He's a former senator for that same place. Elected,
Tana River County, the elected governor there, Dado Godana, under the ODM party ticket. In Nyandarua County, Moses Ndirangu Badilisha, who was vying using the UDA party ticket, elected as governor in Siaya County again. There you have it, James Orengo, ODM party ticket, elected as the governor.
We'll give you an entire list of all the governors there, but we need to take a pulse of what's going on around you and show you pictures live coming from the Bomas of Kenya. Those are governors that we already answered to you. Let's show you live pictures coming from different places as we wait for the Kasarani County Tallying Center to announce the results from Nairobi. And Elgeyo Marakwet, we have Wesley Rotich under UDA. Let's show you what else is coming through in terms of the people's verdict there. Bungoma County Governor-elect is Ken Lusaka from Ford, Kenya.
Vihiga County, we have Wilbur Otichlo, who has been elected as a governor. Migori County, there we have Ochilo Ayako, the governor-elect who was vying under the ODM party ticket. In another part of the country, Trans Nzoia County, George Natembeya, under the DAPK party ticket, the governor-elect. And in Uasin Gishu County, Jonathan B. elected as governor.
West Pokot County, now we have Simon Kapchaping under UDA. They have been elected as governor. In Nandi County, we have Stephen Sang, who's the incumbent under UDA as well, having been elected there and announced governor. In Homa Bay County, we have Gladys Wanga under ODM, trouncing Evans Kidero there, having been elected governor for Homa Bay. Kisumu elected governor is Anyang' Nyong'o, the incumbent governor as well, having been elected there. We're taking a pulse of everything that's going on around you. Let's take a look at what's happening in Bomas, in Kasarani as well, the county tallying center. There's quite a bit of fracas there. Out of the 17 constituencies in Kenya, there's not, in Nairobi that is. The announcements have only been made for 4 constituencies, and 13 of them are still not been done. In the Bomas of Kenya, the verification of forms 34As and 34Bs are happening right now. The agents are there, the observers are also there. What we know from the site of the IEBC right now is that they've received more than 46,203 Form 34As out of the 46,229. Now, Form 34Bs, which is the subsequent accumulation of the results from the Form 34A, they've received 219 out of 291. So there are 72 more to go. And they've also announced official results from 15 constituencies. So 275 of them to go. Let's talk about matters of leadership and integrity. Yeah? Chapter 6 of the Constitution. Our guests are still with us in studio, Professor Gitile Naituli, Franklin Mkwanje, and Saskala Barakwe. And Franklin, I'll start with you on this. Why has this been an uphill task, so to speak, when it comes to leadership? Chapter 6 of the Constitution. Why has it been so hard to implement, especially when the voting process is coming through? Even right now, as we speak, there's been a case at the courts trying to stop the swearing in of William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua should they win. They've also lodged a counter appeal on that to say that it's too early for that sort of petition to come through. Why has it been such a challenge to have the Chapter 6 on the leadership and integrity implemented from the voters' side and institutional sides as well?
Clearly, Kenyans have a very high tolerance for mediocrity and moral standing. If you ask what the reason is to elect people that don't have a track record or have questionable dealings, you realize that when the populace is presented with the opportunity, they choose to vote with their stomachs mostly and not their minds. And unless we address the opposite number of these leaders that have integrity issues, and that is the voter, to resist behavior like voter bribery, you will still have a field day of these characters getting access to power, because that is the bottom line. Even if they manage, and we have, of course, a challenge around the constitutional architecture, that you cannot pin down some of these characters, because the law says that they have to, the full appeal process exhaust the legal opportunities available until they are proven guilty. It happened in 2013 that the outgoing president and the UDA candidate were facing crimes against humanity in The Hague, but they were allowed to run because they had not exhausted the legal mechanisms available, and that then denies the voter the cushion of the law, and therefore the voter has to be of high integrity themselves. I think I will ask Kenyans that if you want to establish what is Kenya's problem with integrity, please go stand in front of the mirror and see the problem in that mirror. It is down to that the individual decisions, when we are alone, are challenged. We are subscribing to voter bribery, very basic electoral malpractices, and we don't find that a problem. We are rewarding politicians that have bloods on their hand. We are rewarding politicians that have looted public offers in previous positions, and the electing leaders that don't generally subscribe to transactional politics. If you are not going to agree to be a social welfare dispenser and you're a politician in the country, you have no opportunity to be re-elected. People don't want you to legislate. The people don't want you to oversight. The people don't want you to represent them properly. But they want you to be part of them. It's part of our culture that we want them to be in our funerals, we want them to be in our weddings, we want them to come for our baby showers, their birthdays, and therefore we think that is good interface and we will elect them. I always ask Trevor, what is Kenya's problem? Is it that it is wrong for a leader to be poor? That a leader must be a man or a woman of means? That if you have means, then you are easily elected? Or is it, on the flip side, that it is disrespectful when an ordinary folk meets a leader and not ask them for something, all right? Because anytime you see Kenyans engaging with leaders is, how are you leaving us? It has nothing to do with the conversation about that bill you're putting on the floor of the county assembly. It has nothing to do with, we want you to vote this way. So is it that it is disrespectful not to demand for something from a leader when you meet them, especially elected ones? Or is it that a leader must be a man of means and generous and philanthropic enough? And that cultural issue must be dealt with before we begin having a conversation on integrity. But finally, we saw that social vetting can become a good tool. The question of academic credentials was properly prosecuted in the public spaces, especially online. And I'm sure, for instance, my good friend, with a lot of respect, Governor Sakaja, still has a lot of explaining to do. I will not be surprised if he faces legal hurdles soon he's sworn in. And I dare say that he may have a very difficult term. Completing it will be very lucky for him if he does, because of the pressure. So this, Trevor, goes down to the people. It has nothing to do with the law. Culture is more stable than the law anywhere.
Perhaps another way of asking your question, Mukwanja, and this I'll direct it to you, Asaska, would be, have the leaders failed the electorate enough for the electorate to resort to, how can you solve my immediate problem? Let me not wait for the bills, let me not wait for the promises you gave me in your manifesto, let me just look for what you can give me now. Is it unga? Is it sugar? That is, who should carry the biggest responsibility in this equation?
Thank you. I like the way Franklin has put it very well. And I think for now, it's what is really ailing Kenyans. I think, but we have our votes to make a change in this country. And Kenya really needs change, to be honest. And as Franklin put it, you know, today we say, oh, Ruto is the new bad guy in town, you know? Oh, in 2007, we said, oh, you know, Raila Odinga is the bogeyman of Kenyan elections back then. And it just boils down to know, you know, who will I believe will put my issues first in the first place? I mean, it's still, our politics is still very much tribal driven. You know, it's Mtuwangu syndrome. You know, if I have Arendile running in Marsabit, you know, he or she definitely expects me to vote for him or her. You know, without looking at what they bring on the table and who is best for Marsabit County, for that matter, or for my constituency. So yes, we have a long ways to go as Kenyans, and I wish we really, as we claim that this election is about issues, I know deep down it's not. You know, look at Raila. You know, for many, many decades, you know, he's been the establishment's nightmare for many, many years. But this year, you know, he has now become the Raila Odinga of the establishment agenda. You know, we're really, as he said, with integrity, it starts from me, from my house, you know, with my kids, with my family. And as much as our constitution dictates all this, no one is clean, to be honest. You know, we all somehow tinted in one way or another. But the best way to look at it is who can really deliver the promises? Who can we trust more? And it depends with who you talk to and what lenses they put on.
Yeah. And Prof, how can we ensure that Chapter 6 is implemented to the letter, starting from the voter themselves and also the leaders who stand for elections?
I think my friend here said the law is not the problem. The problem is the law.
So the law is not the problem is the law.
The problem is actually the law. Okay. You see, what happened at drafting of this constitution, some clever fellows.
Prof, hold on one second. I'll come back to you. Let's cross over to Kirinyaga. There seems to be the results being announced in Kirinyaga, then we come back. Let's cross over there and listen in.
Joseph Kathurin Dathi, Silvanus Kombandao, Purity Wangoi Ngirishi, and Anne Mumbi Waigoro. I will now proceed to announce votes cast in favor of each candidate. For Peter Getao, it was 10,166. Peter Ireri, 2,132. Biden Kagai, 1,751. Joseph Kathurin Dathi, 3,837. Silvanus Kombandao, 532. Purity Wangoi Ngirishi, 105,677. And Anne Mumbi Waigoro, 113,088. From the foregoing, I thus declare that Anne Mumbi Waigoro is the governor-elect of Kirinyaga County. All right. Returning Officer, hereby declare that you, Anne Mombi Waigoro of Passports DK 2553, you have been duly elected as the County Governor for Kirinyaga County in the elections held on 9th August 2022. Congratulations. Now, because we have our leaders, our county leaders, I wish to take this opportunity to invite Mr. Morango, Honorable Morango, to briefly address the county. And we shall make it brief. Okay, thank you.
Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe tena. Okay, I have already given a copy of the written address, the media release. Kwa hivyo I'll just talk briefly. Hiyo mambo ingine uko nje, si ndio? Ya kwanza niseme ya kwamba hii safari imekuwa ndefu. Kwa hivyo nafaa kwanza kushukuru Mungu. Kumekuwa na mateso mingi. Lakini wakikuu sema
All right, just moments there after Anne Waiguru was declared the duly elected governor. She's the incumbent, warding off competition from Wangoi Ngirishi there and clinching a seat.
Yeah, indeed.
Many people are saying it's a very close
It was
contest.
it was described as a neck-to-neck competition between the incumbent Governor Anne Waiguru and who was vying under the UDA party ticket, was facing stiff competition from Wangui Ngirishi, was seeking to unseat her on an independent ticket. Close race there, 113,000 vis-a-vis that Anne Waiguru got about 113,000, slightly over 113,000 votes against Purity Ngirishi's 105,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the issues of Chapter 6 of the Constitution and leadership and integrity. Yeah. And you're finishing your thoughts. You're saying that the problem is the law. Okay. Yeah.
What happened is some clever fellows, they introduced a gangster clause in the Constitution. And that clause has tied people down. That is Article 99, is Article 3. Unless we delete that article, it will be very difficult to deal with this thing. But there's something that Mutunga Court would have done in 2013. Mutunga Court would have actually ignored that article and the rule against Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto participating in the 2013 election because they were facing crimes against humanity. That would have sent a very strong precedent that once you are in a court, once a case has been found against you, okay, you clear yourself, then you come back. But what they did, they hanged on Article 99 of Article 3 and allowed them to run. From there, it opened a Pandora's box because there is a judge who ruled about, he said to Wajir, about the degree. He said that he walks like if he has the degree. Do you remember that issue? I mean, that's... So what is happening here is when they were now drafting Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012, they watered it down deliberately. They tied it down as a result of Article 99, sub-Article 3. So for us to be able to move, we must amend, we must actually delete, not even amend, Article 99, Article 3 from the Constitution, so that when you are accused of graft or any other transgression, you cannot stand for public office. Today, as long as that article is in the books, you can kill somebody right now, get convicted, and still get cleared to run for office, because as he said, you must exhaust all the appeal mechanisms according to Article 99 is Article 3. There lies our biggest problem in dealing with the integrity question in this country.
All right. Mashirima kidogo na swali ama vipi?
Naam, bila shaka nina swali, maanake naona muda wetu haunasi. Tumesalia kama dakika 10 kabla ya kuondoka, lakini swali langu kuu ni kuwa wakati huu ambapo tunazidi kungojea matokeo ya urais, ni kuwa tumeona huu shindani kati ya hawa wawili, farasi hawa wawili wakuu, Raila Odinga na William Ruto, iko neck to neck kama alivyosema Safin. Je, itakuwaje wakati ambapo mshindi atatangazwa? Wakenya wale ambao walikuwa hawajamuunga mkono yule ambaye atatangazwa mshindi, watasaidiwa vipi ili waweze kujihisi kama pia wao wako kwenye serikali? Maana nadhani hilo ndio tatizo ambalo lilikuwa katika mwaka wa 2017, kwamba nusu ya Kenya ilikuwa inahisi ni kana kwamba hawajapata haki.
Yeah.
Professor,
let me venture to answer that question. I think Kenyans know and they understand that whoever is elected president is our president. I don't think 2007 is a good comparison, because you remember 2007 was a stage
2017.
Or 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2017. What I think people have understood right now, that we live in this polity, all of us together. The policy, bad government policy affect us equally, whether you are in this side or this side. So once the leader is declared, I think Kenyans understand that that's our leader. I just wanted also to comment on what happened in Bomas right now. I thought that's a very small thing. I think we shouldn't try to lift it. In this heat, there would have been differences. What I felt is how they addressed it. They didn't have to go to the camera. They simply needed to quietly call the people and they tell them this is how we want us to carry this exercise, so that they don't involve the country in more problem-solving situations. So they need to reach to emotional intelligence when they are dealing with these more little things.
Right.
So me, I think we will move as a country very peacefully. This has been an extremely peaceful electioneering period.
Yeah.
Even after the announcement of the president who has won, we will remain peaceful.
Yeah. Asaska, as we wind up on this conversation, how do we reconcile the nation after the announcements from the IEBC? What steps and measures?
The president who wins needs to reach out in a sense.
I meant to Asaska.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yeah.
As Prof said here, yes, whoever wins this year's polls is going to be president for all
of us,
45 plus million Kenyans. There's no question about that. And as you remember, this year's elections, high-stakes elections, because we've just come up from a very electrifying campaigns, and what came out is that majority of Kenyans, more than 50% of Kenyans don't trust the IEBC. And that was quite something. That's a big thing for us to look at, because remember, Kenya is one of the 27 countries in Africa who are using technology in registering voters, in identifying and verification of voters at the polling station, as well as in the transmission of votes. So as much as the Craigler report and Kenya Constitution 2010 has brought about many changes with the IEBC Act, with the Election Acts, with the Election Regulation Technology Act, and many other subsidiary legislation, we've seen that Kenyans still don't really trust our institutions. And we wonder why. And to be honest, whoever wins this election, this election is no longer about the 25% of votes from at least...
Thought, I think. Let's cross over to Kirinyaga and hear what Anne Waiguru has to say after being elected the governor.
Thank you for your support in your words. Thank you for keeping UDA together. And we hope that we will be able to make the Kirinyaga people proud by serving them as they expect us to serve them. So, asanteni sana, and to everybody who has made it and spent the night here waiting for these results, and the IEBC for tolerating all our insecurities. But I'm sure you understand. Thank you very much.
Anne Waiguru, they are giving a speech right after having been declared the governor-elect for Kirinyaga. Saska, you're finishing your thoughts.
Yes. I was saying that this year's poll is the 12th general election since post-independence. It's the 7th since the introduction of the multi-party democracy in 1992, and it's the 3rd one under the Kenya's newest constitution. And as I said before, you know, whoever wins will be the president for all Kenyans. And I think it's the high time for us to understand that in this electoral process, what we need to look and what IEBC needs to assure Kenyans is how transparent, number one, how transparent are these elections? Number two, how credible will these elections be? And number three, is it going to be verifiable? Okay. So I think it's the high time whoever who wins will have a lot in their in-tray this time round. And as we've seen so far, none of these candidates have an issue of about 25% voters out of 25 out of 47 counties. The main issue now, the main battle is who is going to get 50+1. I think that's where I want to focus my time on from now moving forward. Okay. And finally, I think it's high time for Kenyans and all candidates. I will wish that we move beyond this and embrace the outcomes. And for the loser, you know, shake hands or make peace with the winner. And for the sake of Kenyans and for the long-term reforms that we've worked for the last almost 60 years. And for all Kenyans and the candidates to support a very peaceful democratic transfer of power.
Okay. Franklin?
Yep. There are two key words in competition, magnanimity and dignity. The winners must be magnanimous in their victory, and they must also treat the losers with dignity. And let us not be too hard on the winners. Where I come from, we say, please allow the widow to mourn, right? And there are so many widows than victors. And we have over 15,000 of them that have lost. So let us allow them to mourn. Part of the mourning is petitioning against the results. It is a process of accepting, conceding, and reconciling with fate. So let us not be hard on this guy saying concede and shake hands. There is a process. And let us allow that. 2 weeks more to accept the results. And if the Supreme Court agrees or otherwise, and I think that tradition cannot be challenged. Kenyans are expecting that the loser will petition and the court will look at was the process transparent, accountable, verifiable with a legitimate outcome. And let me also caution Kenyans, particularly young people. There is nothing in common between young people of this country with Raila or Ruto. But there is a lot in common between Ruto and Raila. They belong to the same class. They only disagree when their selfish interests are threatened. They are also very good at packaging their selfish interests to sound and look like common good. They have done that. We have made choices. Whoever comes in, let us shift our gears. Elections are important, but elections alone are not sufficient to build a stable, economically progressive country. We need to shift our mind to how do we bolster our democratic institutions and their performance. How do we do political accountability so that the people who have elected perform and we hold them to account? Number three, how do we keep participating in the governance process?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making time this afternoon. Professor Gitile Naituli, governance expert, Franklin Mkwanja, CMD Executive Director, Asaska Labarakwe, public policy expert. That's where we leave it for now. There's a new team coming through on Kenya's Choice. So there's a lot going on, but we'll have to let them handle that from here henceforth. They're still waiting for the figures coming through from Bomas. A lot is happening. 46,203 have been delivered. Yet out of the 46,229, Mashirima tayari pia ameshawasili. I'll just sign out. Mimi naitwa Trevor Ombija ama Trefa. Ile mashirima aliamua. Sasa
unachoma.
What I feel.
Unachoma. Wacha niende nipumzike. Kesho nikirudi siwezi kukuita Trefa. Labda nitamuita Safin Savin.
But it's been a long one, so it's justifiable. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, but please keep it Citizen Television. The coverage continues. Another team, fresh, is coming up to pick it from here as we sign out. My name is Safina Chengoma. Have a lovely evening.
Nami ni Mashirima Kapombe na kutakia utazamaji mwema.
Did you know there is no need to seek services such as chemotherapy, hormone therapy, immunotherapy, and targeted therapy abroad as they are all offered locally?
The Nairobi Hospital is a center of renal excellence, providing cutting-edge technology through more than 10 dialysis machines. As a patient, you are certain to get quality medicine at the best possible prices at our fully stocked pharmacies.
Get off at the next stop.
Sounds easy when you say it. Bullet Train. I gotta get off this train. Coming soon exclusively in cinemas.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
My fellow countrymen, I'm reading this statement on behalf.
Kuna shughuli ya kupanga mambo yawe shwari katika ukumbi ule wa Bomas. Kumbuka, Kamche umesema kwamba sehemu ile imejaa, ukumbi umejaa. Kuna sehemu ya watu ambao iwapo wamepewa vibali kazi yao itakuwa ni kukaa na kusubiria kinachozungumzwa, lakini hebu tusikilize wanachokizungumza kwa sasa kabla ya kuendelea.
As the chairman said,
This is a tally center, it is not an interrogation center. Observers and agents will watch. If they have any issues, they will record for their own use. It is not going to be an interrogation center for returning officers. Our officers must be respected, and all the desks must enforce that arrangement. We are not here to interrogate returning officers. So as you do your work, ensure that the returning officers are respected. Now, at any one time, there are two coordinators on this floor. The two coordinators are at this front here. I can see Osman. Can you raise your hand? At the middle there. Hali Mutisia, go there. So there are two coordinators at any one time on the floor. For now, it is Hali and Osman. If there are any issues, agents can consult them. We do not want heckling. This is not a marketplace. There are computers. Since yesterday, agents were allowed to come with their computers for purposes of checking the Form S copies they are given against their own downloaded forms from the web portal. All agents were allowed yesterday. It is not anything new, but they must declare what computer they are coming with and once again, no photos on the floor of this study center. Whether you are an observer or whoever you are, no photos. We do not want to see our officers, their photos being paraded everywhere.
Mambo ambayo huchukiza wakati mwingine, na moja kati ya mambo ambayo huchukiza yamejitokeza hii leo kutokana na IEBC kulalamikia sehemu ile watu kuvuka mipaka ambayo waliwekewa katika shughuli ya kuangalia na kufuatilia mambo yanavyoendeshwa katika ukumbi ule wa Bomas. Na wamezungumza si mara moja si mara mbili hii leo wakisema kwamba waacheni maafisa wa tume ya IEBC wafanye shughuli yao. Iwapo wewe ni wakala, kaa pale na fomu zako utizame shughuli inavyokwenda. Iwapo wewe ni mwangalizi wa uchaguzi au unafuatilia, basi pia kaa kwa makini utizame mambo yanavyokwenda, lakini si jukumu lako kwenda kuwa kachero na kwenda kuwauliza maswali maafisa ambao tayari wana shughuli ambayo inasubiriwa kukamilika. Wa Kenya zaidi ya milioni 4 na wanasubiri milioni 40 na wanasubiri kujua matokeo yako wapi, na wewe ndio mwanzo unakwenda kumsumbua. Kwa hiyo makamishna wamesema kwamba waacheni hao watu wafanye shughuli zao, la sivyo walitoa onyo kwamba huenda yote ambaye atakaidi amri hiyo basi atatimuliwa kutoka eneo lile. Na baadaye ukishatimuliwa tena usiwe ni wakulalamika kwa nini nimetimuliwa, na tayari mmeelezwa mara 1, 2, 3 na zaidi kuhusiana na taratibu zinazotakana mahali pale. Unafahamu kwamba Kamche, eneo lile ni eneo ambalo watu wanasema kwamba macho yote yako pale, a very sensitive area kwa sasa. Kila mtu anataka kujua, kwa sababu pakikoseka kitu pale basi kidogo mchuzi wote unakuwa hauliki, kwa sababu wakati wa mapishi chumvi ukizidisha kwa bahati mbaya, japo useme mtu akugonge mkono tu, chumvi izidi inakuwa matatizo, inabidi mchuzi wote umwage. Kwa hiyo ndio wanakuwa makini na wametoa tahadhari kwa wale ambao hawatakiwi kuwa pale na wasiwe pale, kwa sababu kuna viti ambavyo vimetengwa mahsus kwa wale wafuatiliaji na waangalizi na wachunguzi wa mambo kuhusiana na uchaguzi vimewekewa mahsusi sehemu yao, wao wanakaa wanafuatilia pamoja na mawakala, lakini kuingiliana na kazi za maafisa wa IEBC basi ni jambo ambalo litakuwa linatatiza shughuli na kisha baadaye pia linaweza kuchelewesha shughuli ambayo kikatiba IEBC wanajua malengo yao na makataa yao yamefikia wapi. Kwa hiyo mbali na hayo ni kwamba nje ukitembea tembea angalau watu wameanza kujitokeza japokuwa wengi wanajitokeza, na utaona kwenye makundi wakizungumza kuhusiana na lini tunasubiri matokeo yanatoka lini. Wengine wanajadiliana kuhusiana na mpaka sasa yale matokeo waliyoyaona. Wengi wanasema kwamba matokeo yatangazwe, watu waendelee na shughuli zao. Kwa hiyo ndio kama hivyo. Na pia katika hotuba leo, kama ni siku ya Ijumaa, msikitini waumini wa dini ya Kiislamu wanakongamana kwa wengi, kwa sababu Ijumaa ni moja kati ya siku muhimu za ibada kwa wale ambao ni Waislamu. Na hotuba za leo zilizotolewa na viongozi wa dini wamekokoteza umuhimu wa amani baada ya uchaguzi. Wamesema kwamba uchaguzi umekuja umemalizika, ni matangazo yamesalia, na wamewataka Wakenya kwa ujumla kuhakikisha kwamba wanaamiliana vilivyo kwa amani na mtagusano uliokuwepo kabla ya uchaguzi, na vile vile kuwataka viongozi ambao wamechaguliwa kuwajibikia majukumu yao, kwa sababu sio unatoa ahadi lakini pia unajukumika kwa yale ambayo bila shaka umeahidi kwa wale ambao. Kwa hiyo hapa studio nataka kutambulishia wageni ambao tuko nao, mie na mwenzangu Kamche. Hapa karibu yangu naye Otieno Mjomba ambaye ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa. Kwa hiyo Otieno, karibu sana. Naona itakuwa ni maendelezo ya tulipoachia jana. Na Kamche, upande wako unasemaje huko?
Mgeni kwa jina Charles Omanga ambaye ni wakili na vile vile ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya siasa. Kwa hivyo ni wageni ambao wataweza kutusaidia kuelewa hali ilivyo kwa sasa. Uchaguzi umekamilika, matokeo yamejulikana kwa viti mbalimbali vya ubunge, vya wakilishi wadi, vya ugavana katika maeneo mengine. Wakiwa wanasubiri sana kwa hamu na gamu kujua mshindi wa kiti cha urais. Kwa hivyo IEBC nayo ikiwa imesalia na hadi siku ya Jumanne ambapo itakuwa ni siku 7 imekamilisha kuyaweka wazi matokeo ya ushindani wa kiti cha urais, kila mtu ajue upande wake umefanya vipi. Kwa hivyo ni wageni ambao wataweza kutusaidia kuelewa hali ilivyo kwa sasa, ni yepi wa Kenya wanafaa kuyajua, ni masuala gani ambayo IEBC itakuwa inafaa kuzingatia kwa sasa, na mambo mengi, na jinsi uchaguzi ulivyofanyika. Ushindi umekuwa kwa mirengo ipi, viti vya bunge, viti vya ugavana, maeneo mbalimbali, kama ni Pwani, kama ni eneo la Mlima Kenya, kama ni Nyanza. Je, ushindi umekuwa wa aina gani na itakuwa na maana gani kwa chaguzi zijazo, itakuwa na maana gani kwa uongozi ujao? Kwa hivyo ni masuala mengi ambayo tutaweza kuyaangazia hapa Harith, kumfahamisha tu Mkenya hatua zilizosalia na mambo yatakapokwenda, hata matokeo yatakapotangazwa. Tutakuwa tunaelewa kwamba yule aliyetangazwa kuwa mshindi wa kiti cha urais atakuwa anafaa kuchukua mamlaka ama kuanza hatamu yake afisini. Kuna kamati ambayo tayari inajipanga kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba hatua hiyo itakuwa ipo tayari wakati mshindi atakapotangazwa, ikiwa ni kamati inayoongozwa na mkuu wa masuala ya umma ambaye ni Joseph Kinyua. Kwa hivyo hayo ni mambo ambayo yanaendelea kwa sasa, lakini tutakuwa tunayachanganua polepole hapa na wageni wetu. Harith.
Naam, asante sana. Kwa hiyo Otieno, nataka kuanza sasa mazungumzo yetu kuhusiana na kinachoendelea. Kwanza Bomas, umeona hali ilivyo, mpaka Chebukati na makamishna wenzake wamekuja juu. Naona na tuseme iwapo kutakuwa na matatizo kama haya ya watu kuingilia shughuli ya IEBC, unaona kuna hatari gani labda kwa mambo kama hayo?
Asante sana Harith. Tena leo tumepatikana hapa ili kuhakikisha kwamba tunaendeleza mjadala ambao tulikuwa nao jana, na ni kweli kwamba mengi yanayofanyika IEBC si ya kuridhisha, si IEBC bali Bomas, si mambo ya kuridhisha, Kwa sababu gani? Kwa sababu viongozi wenyewe wanapofanya matendo kama hayo, basi mwisho wa yote wanafanya nchi kuwa na tumbo joto na kufanya watu wenyewe kuanza kuhisi, manake hawa ndio wawakilishi wao. Kwa hivyo kwa njia moja au nyingine watu kule nje wanaanza kuona ikiwa mwakilishi wangu anahisi hali iko hivi, basi kuna shida mahali, na hivyo basi watu wanaanza kuwa na tumbo joto, na kwa njia moja au nyingine isipodhibitiwa vizuri, basi utaona mambo yakienda maji yakizidi unga. Hivyo basi ningependekeza sana viongozi wetu tuache na ningetumia neno utoto. Tuache utoto, kwa sababu kwa kufanya hivi sisi ndisi kioo cha jamii. Na ikiwa sisi ni kioo cha jamii, basi yale yote ambayo tunafanya sasa hivi Bomas inaangaziwa na watu wote kote nchi.
Kidogo Otieno, tutakuja kwako hapo kwamba hao ndio kioo cha jamii, na bila shaka jamii ikijiona kwenye kioo kwamba hali ni hii, basi ndio kama hivyo. Lakini mbali na hapo Kamche, labda kupitia mgeni ambaye yuko karibu nawe, labda elezee kidogo kuhusiana na ni kipi ambacho kinajitokeza kutokana na viongozi kuonyesha hali kama ile na kutatiza shughuli katika shughuli za IEBC
kwa sasa. Naam Charles.
Asante sana. Nadhani kile ambacho kinashuhudiwa katika ukumbi wa Bomas kwa sasa hivi kufuatia jinsi ambavyo viongozi ambavyo wako pale sio jambo ya kuridhisha. Na ni mambo ya kutamausha sana, kwa sababu hao viongozi ni wanajua ya kwamba IEBC ni tume huru, na sasa wakati ambao tumefika ni wakati muhimu sana ambaye yafaa viongozi na wananchi kwa ujumla na wale wagombezi, wale wamepata, wale wamepoteza, tuwe na subira ili tuhakikishe kwamba hatutatizi shughuli nzima ya kuhesabu kura. So kufuatia jambo ambalo limeshuhudiwa pale sio jambo la kufurahisha, na kwa maoni yangu mimi ningependa kuwashauri wale ambao wako pale wahakikisha ya kwamba wasitatize shughuli hii nzima, kwa sababu wakati huu watu wamekuwa na hiyo tumbo joto, watu wako na ile roho ambayo haijatulia, kwa sababu kila mrengo inavutia kwao, wanahakikisha wanasema tumetoa ushindi. Sasa masuala kama haya sio masuala ya kutiliwa mzaha, ni jambo ambalo yafaa tuhakikisha kwamba tunaonyesha picha na sura ya uongozi, tusiwe ni kama watu ambao wako katika kiwanja cha densi ambaye hakuna taratibu yoyote.
Kwa wakati kama huu Charles, ambao tumeona washindani hawa wanne ikiwa wawili wa mrengo wa Azimio na mrengo wa Kenya Kwanza ndio ushindani wao upo karibu sana. Je, hali hii tunayoiona Bomas ni jambo ambalo ni la kutarajiwa tukizingatia kwamba ushindani ni mkali sana na karibu sana?
Wakati ambapo kura inakuwa kura ambao ushindani inakuwa mkali na tofauti ya kura haikui nyingi, mara nyingi huwa inaleta hiyo tension. So ile jambo ambalo yafaa ifanyike ni kwamba viongozi yafaa wahakikishe watu wakakamavu, kwa sababu kama viongozi wao wenyewe ndio wameanza tabia ya kutokuwa na mpangilio, kutofuata utaratibu wowote, sasa wananchi je ama wafuasi wao? So mimi ningependa kwamba yafaa tutulia ama viongozi wahakikisha wajaribu kuwasiliana na wale watu ambao maajenti wao, wale viongozi ambao wameweka pale kukagua na kuhakikisha kwamba mambo yanaenda shwari, wahakikisha wazungumuze ili isionekane ni kama pale ukumbi wa Bomas na ile shughuli nzima ya IEBC ni kama watu ambao wako katika soko huru, wale ambao kila mtu anauza kitu chake, anaita customer bila mpangilio wowote.
Unadhani Charles, unadhani kama IEBC imeruhusu watu wengi kuingia katika ukumbi ule wakati wa zoezi hili la kujaribu kuainisha hizi forms ambazo zimefika pale kwao? Unadhani wengi wameruhusiwa kuingia pale na wanahitaji kudhibiti ile namba, ama idadi ni sawa, sema tu walioingia pale tu ndo hali zao wanajiona tu kama wanaweza kuvuruga?
Idadi si sawa. Kile ambacho ningeshauri ni kwamba wale maajenti, wale ambao wamehusika katika ile hali ya kunakili na kuhakikisha ya kwamba zile fomu zinaambatana na zile ambazo zilitumwa katika mtandao, ndio wawe pale mbele. Viongozi pia huwezi ukaweka hii shughuli nzima iwe tu na maajenti na maobserver peke yao kukaa pale. Lakini wawe wakuwe na ile mahali ya mwisho, wale viongozi wengine wanaweza kaa kando, lakini sasa wakizidi ndani ya ukumbi, alafu pengine pia unajua wakiwa hapo pia wanazungumza hapa na pale kwa sauti ya juu, huenda ikatatiza shughuli ile ya wale ambao wameruhusiwa kirasmi kukagua zile nakala za zile fomu ambazo zimetoka katika maeneo bunge. So sidhani kama watu wameruhusu ni wengi, lakini sasa wahakikisha kwamba wale ambao sio wanahusika moja kwa moja pale wadhibitiwe, wakuwe hata kama wako ndani ya ukumbi, lakini wakae mbali kidogo, wasipitie, wasiingie hapo mahali hiyo shughuli nzima inaendelea.
Na Harith, Charles ameleta hoja nzuri hapa ambayo pia nikikumbuka Commissioner Abdiguli alipokuwa anazungumza hapo, amesema kwamba maafisa wa IEBC wanafaa waheshimiwe pale ndani, na wale waliofika pale kama anavuka mpaka, mtu akiambiwa hapo alipofika si sawa warudi nyuma, basi wanafaa wasikize kauli ya wale maafisa wa IEBC na aweze kurudi nyuma kwa utulivu wa pale mahali. Lakini pengine Otieno pengine anaweza kutueleza, je, tabia hizi za pengine wa viongozi watakazozifanya pale katika ukumbi wa Bomas zinafaa ziwe za kuelekeza mwananchi hapa nje azidi kuwa na utulivu? Manake iwapo kule wataanza kuleta vurugu huku nje, mfuasi wao atakuwa anafanya nini? Otieno.
Asante tena. Wakati ambapo nilikuwa nikizungumza hapa awali nilizungumzia mambo ya kioo cha jamii, na nimefurahishwa namna ambavyo pia Bwana Charles ameweza kutoa kauli zake. Ni kweli kwamba viongozi wetu hasa lazima wao wenyewe waweze kutuongoza kwa matendo mazuri. Wanafaa kutuongoza kwa kuhakikisha kwamba wao ndio wanatimiza na wanazingatia masuala ya maadili. Lakini unapopata kwamba sasa viongozi wenyewe ndio wamekosa maadili, basi wale wafuasi wao moja kwa moja wataona kwa sababu hawa ndio wanatuwakilisha na sisi pia basi itabidi tuwe hivyo. Lakini ningependa kupanua mawazo yetu zaidi kuhusiana na haya ambayo yanafanyika Bomas, kwamba hawa viongozi wetu ndio hao sisi tumewachagua. Tumetoka kuwachagua. Tumewachagua pamoja na haya mabaya yao. Tunajua kwamba kwa njia moja au nyingine hawafanyi hivi kwa mara ya kwanza Bomas. Wamekuwa wakifanya hivi katika vikao mbalimbali popote pale. Kama umekuwa ukifuatilia katika katika constituencies mbalimbali, umeona kwamba kumekuwa na mivurutano ya hapa na pale, watu kushikana kosi za shati, watu kutaka kulimana hata na makonde. Kama uliangalia Jamhuri juzi, waliweza hata watu ikabidi vurumai ikatokea. Hii inamaanisha nini? Sisi jamii, hawa viongozi wanatuwakilisha tu moja kwa moja. Tabia zetu hizi ambazo zipo mashinani hapa ndizo zile ambazo tumepeleka pale Bomas sasa hivi. Hivyo ombi langu kwa IEBC ni kwamba wahakikishe usalama umedumishwa, wale wa kushughulikia wale ambao wanafaa kuwa pale ukumbini wabaki wale ambao wanafaa kuwa pale. Tusikubali kuruhusu mmoja wawili, mwisho tutaruhusu kila mtu. Na tukiruhusu kila mtu pale katika ukumbi, basi mchuzi ndio hivyo, tutakuwa tumezidisha maji na sasa urojorojo wake na utamu wake hautakuwepo.
Sasa Otieno, kuna hili swala la unajua kumekuwa katika mitandao ya kijamii nchi jirani hususan Tanzania na Uganda wamekuwa wakishangaa jinsi uchaguzi ulivyoendeshwa Kenya. Na wamesema kwamba ni jambo la kushangaza kwamba Wakenya wamekuwa na uhuru mwingi tu sana katika uchaguzi huu, kuanzia kuwepo kwa mtandao, kuweza kuwasiliana kupitia mitandao, na vile vile tume ya uchaguzi kuruhusu Wakenya kujitizamia kupitia portal yao, na vile vile mpaka sasa hivi tunaona kwamba katika eneo la Bomas watu wanaingia tu kama kiholela hivi. Inawezekana kwamba kumekuwa na uhuru kupita kiasi walioruhusu IEBC wenyewe mpaka sasa hivi unakuja kuathiri wao wenyewe? Swali zito na ambalo nitajikuta nitamrushia swali Bwana Charles, manake ni wakili. Unajua yanayofanyika ni kwamba mahakama zetu kwa njia moja au nyingine ni mahali ambapo tunakuza demokrasia ya nchi, na kutokana na maamuzi ambayo yanatoka pale mahakamani, basi IEBC lazima ifuate yale ambayo yamekubalika pale. Na kwa ukiangalia kesi, nadhani kesi ya NASA mwaka 2017 pale Supreme Court, palitokea mjadala huu ambapo lazima mambo yangewekwa wazi hivi namna yalivyo. Na uwazi huu tunajua kwa Kiswahili kwamba sana ikizidi sana sio nzuri sana.
Si nzuri. Tutakuwa tumeharibu. Na kwa sababu ya hiyo sasa tunafaa kuhakikisha tuna dhibiti mambo yetu. Zaidi ya kwamba tuna demokrasia, tuna uhuru, lakini uhuru usiodhibitika mwisho wa yote basi huleta ghasia. Na hivyo lazima tudhibiti uhuru huu ili mwisho wa yote mambo yawe mazuri.
Kila kitu na mipaka yake. Charles, je, kumekuwa na uhuru kupita kiasi kwa IEBC kuwaruhusu Wakenya kufuatilia shughuli hii? Uhuru umepita mipaka mpaka sasa hivi matatizo ndio tunayo, na kama hayo katika ukumbi wa Bomas watu wanajiingilia tukiolela?
Sidhani kuwa uhuru umekuwa kupita kiasi, kwa maana uhuru wenyewe kuna udhibiti wake, na pia pale jambo ambalo tunashuhudia sio makosa ya wananchi wenyewe, ni pale kuna viongozi ambao wanaelewa sheria na wanajua ya kwamba jinsi ambavyo yafaa wakae wakiwa pale, kwa sababu unajua uhuru ni jambo ambalo hatuwezi tupa na maji ya kuosha mtoto, kwa sababu hata katiba yenyewe katika kipengele cha 35 34 imeleta uhuru huu, na hii uhuru kuna jinsi ambavyo yafaa tunaikuza, na kwa hiyo sidhani kama uhuru imepita kiasi, kwa sababu hata sisi wenyewe wananchi ndio tuliomba ya kwamba ili tuwe na uhuru, ndio watu wasiwe na ile moyo wa aste, kwa sababu tusipokuwa na uhuru huu, na mahakama yenyewe ndio ilitupa nafasi kuhakikisha kwamba tume huru ya uchaguzi hakikisha inakuwa na hiyo multi agency na media council, ili watu upate ujumbe unaofaa wakati inayofaa. Sasa kwa upande wangu sidhani kama uhuru ndio imekuwa saidi, lakini sasa viongozi ambao wako pale ni ile hali tu, unajua hii ni sasa kama ushindani, lakini ushindani wa karibu sana ya watu wanakuwa kama kitu akiendi sawa, kunakuwa na hiyo tension. Sasa ndio hiyo vurugu ya watu kujaribu kuangalia, yani hawajaamini wale watu ambao wameweka pale, kwa sababu wale wanaleta tabu ni wanasiasa na viongozi mbalimbali ambao wameruhusiwa katika ukumbi ule. Wale maajenti wao wenyewe wako pale wanaendelea na shughuli yao. Sasa hii vurumai na hii mambo ya kuleta sintofahamu kwa wananchi ama wafuazi wa mirengo hizi miwili na wale wagombezi wengine, sio jambo ambalo yafaa tuyafurahie.
Na ndio maana nilikuwa nimekuuliza pale awali, je, ni jambo la kutarajiwa kwa wakati huu? Manake Bomas kimekuwa kitovu cha ujumuishaji kura za urais kwa muda mrefu sana. Sasa sijui kama ukirudi nyuma unaona kama miaka ya nyuma pia hali ilikuwa hivyo, ama kwa sasa je, kuna wageni wapi ambao wamekuja kwa sasa ambao tutasema wameongeza idadi wakawa wengi, ama idadi imekuwa ni ile waangalizi, mawakala wakuu wa vyama vya kisiasa, wanahabari? Kwa hivyo je, hali ilikuwa inatarajiwa inaweza kuwa kama hivi kama miaka ya nyuma, ama kwa sasa kuna mabadiliko fulani?
Mwaka wa nyuma hizi siku za mwanzo ambao uchaguzi imekamilika tu kushuhudia mambo kama haya. Tulianza kuyashuhudia wakati ambapo hata matokeo ya kura ya urais inaendelea kukamilika. Lakini kwa wakati huu tumeanza kushuhudia, ndio tumeanza tu. Na unajua tume ya IEBC kuna makataa ya siku 7. Sasa saa hii bado hata kuna zile fomu zingine ambazo zijanakiliwa au hazijathibitika. Sasa haifai tuanze na hii hali kama hii wakati huu. Bado ni mapema mno. Na hata tukiangalia hata uchaguzi hapo awali, hata mwaka wa 2017 iliyopita, hatukuanza kushuhudia mambo kama haya kama siku za mwanzo ambapo kura imeanza kuhesabika.
Have some order. Where is security? Where is security? Can we have security maintaining order here? I'm calling upon the security officers to come and maintain order here. Yes. I am asking the chief agents to come for a meeting. I'm asking chief agents to come up for a meeting. And I'm asking the security to come and maintain order on the floor of the Tally Center. Kanchari, can you come up, please? Paul Mwangi, can you come up, please? Paul and Kanchari, can you come up? I don't see Governor Namuka. Where is he? Kanchori and Mwangi, please come up. Kanchori and Mwangi. I am asking anyone who is not busy of the hall. Anybody who is not doing work at the tally desk to vacate the floor of the hall. Anybody, can you vacate the floor of the hall? Anybody who is not doing work at the tally, if you are not an agent doing work at the tally desk, can you vacate the floor of the hall? Mheshimiwa Fred Gumo and the team, please, we want this floor cleared. We have provided desks for people to sit. We have provided seats for people to sit. Please clear the floor of the tally center. Clear the floor of the tally center. If you are not an agent and if you have nothing to do at the tally desk, can you leave the floor of the tally center? Anybody standing, can you leave the floor of the tally center? We are saying if you are not doing work at the desk, can you leave the floor of the tally center? The people on the floor of the tally center who are not doing any work, can you leave the floor of the tally center? Security. Security. Gabo, are you on the floor? Gabo, are you on the floor? Can you deploy armed security here? Anyone who is not on a desk, who is not working must not access the floor, the tally floor. That is our instruction to the security. Only the chief agents are allowed to be standing on the floor. Anyone else should not access the tally floor. We do not want politicians who have been announced wherever they were contesting to come and cause chaos in the National Tally Center. It must be.
As we talk about IEBC, having the capability of coordination is very, very important. And like we said, when you look at an incident command system, which is what used to manage complex events processes, Chebukati never did a proper simulation on how to deal with the verification process. To that extent, he did not then identify specifically the constants that are important in terms of how many agents do we need to have there. Because had they simulated a proper perspective of the Forms 34A and identified diverse logistics, then the resources required would also have been equally captured appropriately. And this takes us to preparedness. Because if you do not have a best practice in preparedness, then in terms of coordinating a complex event like what we are going through, which is part of a process, at times becomes overwhelming. And remember, members, for IEBC and this process, if they are overwhelmed in any way, they create anxiety within the nation. And that anxiety, like we have always said, can take us to the precipice. So we may not have needed that number. We may also have maybe needed certain particular skills within some of the agents. Were these skills captured accordingly by the political parties and by IEBC as a partnership of enhancing what would be termed as that verification? Those are areas that certainly need to be focused on, and that can be captured through what we term as an after-action report, because for now, this horse has bolted out of the stable. If there are any remedies to be done, he should be wise enough, because we can always revise the kind of resources that should be there and advise accordingly. But verification, in my simplest of understanding, should not be such a complex kind of a process.
Well, as you can see on your screen, IEBC officials are preparing to give another list of results from various constituencies. At least I can see and recognize a few commissioners together with the CEO of IEBC. So we are getting ready to go there. And I can also see some members of, these politicians. Is that Gladys?
Nanok, is it?
Bosch. Yeah, I can see them. Yeah. There is Justus Mnyang'aya. There is Gladys Bosch Cholet. There is IEBC Vice Chair Juliana Cherea. So I think it is very important and critical at this point to hear what they are saying. So let's listen in, and then we'll come back.
Chief agents of representatives of the various presidential presidential candidates, and we've reached a number of resolutions One, at the floor of the auditorium will be IEBC officials, 2 agents of each of the presidential candidates, and the returning officer that is bringing results on every desk. In addition, we will have the chief agent and a deputy who will alternate, and one of their lawyers. And those are the only people who will be allowed on the floor of the auditorium. Everyone else who comes into this building will sit at their respective marked areas in the dais. Nobody else is allowed to access this floor of the auditorium apart from the people that I've described. Secondly, presidential agents are allowed to have a laptop for purposes of having downloaded the forms 34A from the public portal or from the API access given to them. They can download in their one laptop, and they will be allowed to counter-check the result forms downloaded from the web portal against what the returning officers will provide them with. And so every agent will have one laptop per desk. We've allowed, even yesterday, there were some agents that had laptops. There is something circulating in the media that one politician was kicked out having brought in a laptop. There was nothing wrong with the laptop of that political party agent having it in the Tallying Center floor. So that kind of misinformation, character assassination, the Commission does not encourage and would want those propagating such lies to restrain themselves so that the country can be peaceful. We have 2 coordinators of IEBC managing the floor each time, and if there are any issues being raised by any agent or any chief agent, the coordinators will be the first point of contact, and the coordinators will escalate to the Commission if need be. The Commission is fully aware that we have 7 days to declare the presidential results, and we are committed to ensure that we comply with the Constitution and the applicable laws. We will not allow anybody, including agents of political parties, agents of presidential candidates, to frustrate the effort of trying to comply with the 7-day deadline. And therefore, we have agreed that agents will play facilitative role in terms of trying to expedite the verification process on the various, that is taking place in the various desks. We have deployed security around the tally floor, and if need be, we will increase. But depending on how peaceful the floor will be, we will reduce. We urge everyone coming into the floor, into the auditorium, whether you will be on the floor for specific roles or observing from the dais, to be respectful to the commission employees, to be respectful to their fellow Kenyans, and to be respectful to our guests who are here by way of election observation. Let us all maintain decency, and we have already established how we can complain, how complaints can be escalated in case there will be any. And so for all those who are coming and who are not supposed to access the floor, to remain seated calmly and observe from the comfort of the seats we provided at the dais and the stairs. We do not want to see people coming into this auditorium with printed material. Now that we are asking presidential candidate agents to have a laptop with downloaded 34As, which means they will have PDF copies of the downloaded 34As. We do not expect any presidential agent to bring in any paper material into the Tally Center. And so these are the discussions we had and the resolutions we had, and we hope and wish that we will all comply so that we can have a smooth process and the Commission can meet its constitutional and other statutory deadlines. Asanteni sana. There is misinformation, disinformation, talking about the Commission's systems having been compromised. I will invite the CEO to speak to that and assure the country that all is safe.
Thank you very much. There are information, or misinformation, or disinformation going around that the Commission systems have been compromised, and that even the results portal that we are hosting has also been compromised. We would like to assure the country that nothing like that has happened. Of course, we anticipated that there are people who will try to hack our systems, and we put mechanisms in place to ensure that our systems are basically secured. We are monitoring all our systems at all levels, at network level, at application level, at database level, and even at operating system level. Nothing like that has happened. Of course, we know people are not sleeping. They want to make sure that our systems are down. I don't think there is any time that even our portal has twinked that it was down for even a second. This is because of the mechanism we have put in place. So we assure the whole country that our systems are actually secure. And if there is any doubt, please talk to us. Don't send misinformation outside there. Please talk to us, and mechanisms we have put in place are foolproof. Thank you very much.
Good day.
Well, that is the IBC team led by Commissioner Professor Abdi Gulie and IBC CEO Hussein Marjan Theom, outlining some new measures that are going to be observed and that must be adhered with during this tallying process inside the National Tallying Center here at the Bomas of Kenya. One of the issues that they have addressed is the issue of chief agents and political party agents, whereby they have said that there will be to be included in the tables that we are seeing there, or on the tables that we are seeing, there will be IEBC officials, chief presidential agent, returning officer, chief agent and or deputy, and either a lawyer, and what else? And no laptops will be allowed into onto the tables, and unless it's for the presidential agent. And this is all meant to ensure that the process of tallying the or verifying the forms is expedited, because Gulier is on record saying that the National Tallying Center is not an interrogation center. It is a place where forms are being verified, and then they are announced to the public. And so this kind of order now is expected to expedite the whole verification exercise, which has been quite slow, threatening to derail this process. And so we expect this process now to pick up, and it is going to be fast. They have also said that they have also increased the number of security agents inside the hall to deal with or to ensure that there is order and these new regulations are adhered to. And if there need to be, more will be added. And if there is compliance, then they are likely to be, or the security officers, the numbers will be lowered accordingly. And so we continue to monitor the situation here at the National Tallying Center. Verification exercise is currently underway. We expect more constituencies or numbers from more constituencies to be given in the course of the day. But here at the National Tallying Center, Bomas of Kenya, we continue to analyze the situations there. And it's now clear that IEBC is now becoming very assertive and very clear that, hey, we're not going to allow anyone to derail this process, because at the end of the day, Kenyans will blame us because it is our mandate to deliver elections. Do you see this coming out from their conversations going forward?
It is quite clear, evident, and they are sure-footed. And like we had mentioned a few minutes ago before IEBC came on air, is the fact that we needed a few items addressed. And one key item was that issue of hacking, which has been well brought out, that indeed there have been attempts at hacking the system, but that they have got relevant walls that are in place to make sure that the fidelity of whatever data and indeed the functioning of the system is assured. That reassurance to Kenyans is very, very important. The other bit is an item that may have been omitted due to lack of simulation. What kind of resources were needed? Who should be within that verification space? So there are three key persons. We have got the chief agent, the deputy chief agent, and the legal officer of what would be termed as the organization. That is the political party. So it means that there before it was opaque, but now there is clarity. So that regular briefing must be in a position to respond to emerging issues, and in a timely manner, so that it does not reach a point whereby it swells, it finally becomes a flooding or a floodgate as far as the process is concerned. Then lastly, is very interesting. IEBC has realized what politicians can do. Number one, they've done their tally. So they can force, in a very interesting manner, IEBC to quicken this process, so that IEBC is even blind to the nitty-gritties, the forensic component of verification, which can take us to the Supreme Court. And so when you allow the political class now to address IEBC instead of the chief agent who has been appointed to do that, then certainly we already have got travesty of justice against what is expected. So their communication right now is the command that must come when you are managing this kind of an event as part of a process. Is the directing that must come on board. Is the control that must be delivered, so that when we have got that command, the communication that is there, the control and the management, then IEBC remains clear on what it must deliver, so that the noise from this political party, from this coalition, from these leaders, then is decimated, and the due purpose of that situation room, the command post, becomes only one: verification and nothing else. To me, that is an IEBC that is now flexing its muscles.
Very well. Fred, why do you think IEBC is restricting laptops inside the National Tallying Center or any other printed material?
Of course, you know that even when you are flying a plane, you will be able to switch off your phone. I don't know whether you have ever been told why you should switch off your phone. Keep it in an airplane mode. Switch off all electronic gadgets and all that. The issue here is you don't know what is happening, but the issue here, you want to be in control. You know, when you're in control of anything, whatever you don't know, you have to remove all the things that can make you lose control. Because that's the time when the pilot needs to be in control. IBC is saying, I'm the pilot. Why are you touching these gadgets? Are you flying a plane? The most important thing, at this time when we are taking off and landing, I need to be in control of that moment, and I don't want any other noise to come on board. Particularly, I'm not a software expert to understand how coming in the laptops or the rest can bring a lot of emotion, but I'm sure sometimes people can come with things that can distract the process, not necessarily to hack the process.
Yeah.
But also something which is interesting from what you said, and I think that I'm more at peace now. When I had the questions of servers have been hacked, system having been hacked, I remember during the Kyoto Protocol in Barcelona, when they were discussing about the issue of climate change, Africa went with data. You know what Africa's data was? How many cows are dying in northern Uganda? They were just showing pictures of cows dying, of course landmass disappearing, and there was no data as to the relationship between climate change and these incidences. Then Europe came with data saying, if we reduce carbon emission by 4%, our GDP will shrink with this percentage. So that was very smart. Then America came and said, those analyses are based on wrong data. That was the end of Kyoto Protocol. So if IBC was to allow us tallying from a portal which has been hacked, we could end up with no results. So it's important to clarify that no, there is nothing which has been hacked. We foresaw that someone will try to do it, and this is foolproof. For me, that has brought some peace, and I'm sure this is the message we need to preach to all Kenyans, that be calm. There are some fruits you need to have now. Patience. Everybody needs to be patient. Once you become patient, you'll find that you have peace. But if you're in a hurry, then you find yourself you're not in peace, and no one can give you patience. Just go find it, find something to do. Don't peddle lies, like he says. If you have any concern, there's a way to address them. He said something very, very clearly, that there's what you call a dispute mechanism. If you have anything you're disputing, there's a process to follow it. You, my brother and sister in social media, all those people on the streets, if you have no process to be able to send it to your party leader, send your complaints to the right channel. Trying to brainwash people on social media is not going to help our country. Thank you.
Why would anybody inside that hall wants to delay the verification exercise?
Of course, you see what's happening. If you are playing a football match and you are 2-1 goal, you are praying the match will end at this time, is it not? But if you are losing, what do you pray? You pray that this match should not have results. So those who, for example, who believe they are not sure of this win, they may want us not to have a result to give them a chance to run. Why am I saying so? Have you not seen parties celebrating that the results have been nullified? because you are not in a good position. The one who was winning do not want nullification. The one who is probably going to lose want nullification, and they want us to delay, enter in a condition crisis, time not met. Then we say they were not done within 7 hours, 7 days, and therefore they are not valid. Then we go back to the ballot.
And that's why I was asking you, I mean, is it necessary, I mean, to have all these officials being part of these tallying desks? I mean, you have political party agent, you have chief agent of president. Do we really need all these people? Or maybe there's a way we can work on a formula whereby you don't have so many people being part of this verification process?
The regulations allow, so that means there have to be that representative. Because in the absence of that representative, remember, they have to sign that they are in agreement that the scanned image transmitted and the physical form 34A, right, the italic, congruent, they are. So they have to sign, and there are other signatories to the same.
What happens if they do not want to sign and they run away?
Then that is a conflict. If they run away and they have not given a reason, then that particular form is not duly then applicable to the next level.
So
of
what
decision
happens?
making.
I mean, if, for example, I discover that our candidate is losing, and so I may want to sabotage this process by withdrawing myself from the tallying center or from the verification process.
Is the form 34A accurate relative to what is here? Because the only time that then one would want to run away, number one, would be a person who is not of sane mind. But if truly you can see this data, you are comparing this and that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Signed, so that it is a replica of what should have been there. Number one, I would read mischief in such kind of a party agent, and consequently such kind of a party.
Which is
and
not
it is
rare
possible.
in our political system, mischief.
But then EBC, bearing in mind their observers, among other actors, would have no option but indeed to go ahead and indicate that there is clarity of conformity between the two forms.
But I think
yes,
the Chebukati was clear the other day that these forms, they are what they are. We cannot change them.
Yes.
You can only note discrepancies that can help you take to Supreme Court. So I think that even if you disagree with them, you cannot ask them to change them. You only note it, and you can be able to bring evidence. If there is something which is glaring, IBC can say, let's verify this one, or let's make a follow-up here and there. But I think that's at their discretion. If they refuse to agree to your complaints, you can take them to Supreme Court, because that is the super referee. IBC is the referee.
Very well.
And therefore, in terms of that, from where he has got into this, then the parties have got minimal opportunities, ground, leeway to actually disagree with this.
Yes.
Because the only time then that can be resolved, and that's what I headed to, is now going to the Supreme Court. Because that is the only one that then can sort out such kind of discrepancies or complaints that can
and
come
remember,
on board.
Form 34A and B, they are constitutional documents.
Yes.
And when you disagree with it, which form does it become? You cannot change that form, because it was signed by your presidential agent in the polling station.
Yeah.
It remains a constitutional document, and no one can change. You are just verifying, is not changing. Verification is just like stakeholder engagement. You can disagree with it, but you really can't change it. The person who could have made things harder was your agent in the polling station. If they refuse to sign, then it is not Form 33A or B.
Very good. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I mean, we will keep on watching the situation inside the National Tallying Center. And of course, we'll continue to analyze the issues as they unfold here at the Bomas of Kenya. Well, the images that you are seeing on your screen coming to you live from inside the National Tallying Center here at the Bomas of Kenya, where now a order has been observed now, or is being observed now. As you can see, there is some. The tables are quiet. They look now organized, as opposed to what we were witnessing about 1 hour.